You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Yeah, he'll be out there today. We'll get you the injury report after practice. We'll see how it goes, but we'll get you the injury report after practice today.
With Jalen missing most of 3 games, are you worried at all about rust with him?
No, I think I answered this, to somebody, I can't remember who, earlier this week. This is why you practice. This is why you go through the process of practicing and all the things that you do at practice to get on the same page. You do everything there. We feel like we practice at a very high intensity level. This is why you go out there and do those things.
Oh, yeah, everybody's favorite coach, especially Angel Martinez, but Angel's not here today. Nick Sirianni on the status of Jalen Hurts. More from Sal Pell coming up in just a little bit as he returned yesterday to practice. Good news for the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL playoffs are just a couple of days away. The college football playoff, the semis begin tonight at Hard Rock. Let's get it going. Welcome, everybody. It's a Thursday edition of the Pete Sheppard Show. I am solo. Kind of rhymes. Here with the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Checking us out today. And, of course, across SR 1029 The Game at SR1029thegame.com, the sports app. Fantastic. See it right at the top of the screen. Right there. See? SR 1029 The Game. Also, thanks for checking us out. Following me on the show at Twitter, X at PShep326, on Facebook, at CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and always you can text the show and call the show at 727-858-6650. But you can't call the show today because Angel's not here. He's off on assignment today and tomorrow. So it's just yours truly here this morning, here in Fort Myers, Florida, where it is a very chilly 42 degrees right now. Actually, Sanibel, which is not too far from where I am, is 50 degrees, and that's the warmest really in the state of Florida right now. It is cold down here. Now, being from New England originally, I'm sort of used to it, but after being down here for nearly 8 years, like I said the other day, your body starts to adjust to 75, 80 degrees every day. And when it dips down past a couple of days, in the morning, it doesn't stay in the 40s all day, but in the morning, even though it's refreshing, you can open the doors a little bit. I refuse and have never, ever turned the heat on in any place. The 3 places I've lived down here in Southwest Florida still have yet to turn the heat on. Temperature in the house right now is about 65 degrees. That's fine. Don't need any heat. Put a sweatshirt on. I got my Long John type of things on, nice shirt. Actually, my Stewie pants from Family Guy. He basically says, "Obey me," which I love. Anyway, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Angel will be back on Monday. He's off today and tomorrow here on the Coastal Sports Network, out on assignment. Lots going on today. Lots going on in the NFL and in college football. We'll have an NBA and NHL rundown for you as well. Chris Mad Dog Russo goes off on the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday. He also made a really ignorant comment about college football and Notre Dame, which I will get into. I do want to start off the show today about praising all the other shows. And I've given a listen for the last couple of weeks here, and the ratings and the numbers are through the roof. I mean, we're really growing big time. And a big shout out, to Angel Martinez, obviously, Martinez and Company, The Drive with Q every day, Beeves World with Jay Flannelly, Talking Hoops was a fun show to listen to last night a little bit. I don't listen to every minute of every single show, but I love the fact that we have a lot of versatility here, and there's people from all over the country on this network. It is absolutely fantastic, and everybody is finding their little niche. So congratulations to everybody, all the hosts and everybody on all the shows doing a remarkable, remarkable job. Rick Horwell, sports business guru, is going to join me today. I have a feeling he might be headed to the Orange Bowl tonight to watch Notre Dame and Penn State. I'll have a full report coming up on that. Lots of sound today. Not a lot of video because I can't play the video from here without Angel, but I can play the audio. And there's very, very interesting stuff So we'll talk about that. Micah Parsons said yesterday for the Cowboys that the Cowboys will be raising the Super Bowl trophy in 2026. Mark it down, he says. Mark it. It's like one of those Charles Barkley things. Guaranteed. Yeah. Okay, Micah. First of all, work on making the playoffs. Work on retaining your coach. You know, Mike McCarthy, and is he going to stay with the Dallas Cowboys? If they're serious about it, then they should be locking him up sooner rather than later. But it's Jerry Jones, so he plays these mind games. Now, right out of the gate, Mike Vrabel today will be interviewing with the New England Patriots. Okay, the Patriots have already they've requested permission for Aaron Glenn. They completed interviews with Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich, and the Johnson interview is happening is tomorrow on Friday. Is a virtual per NFL rules. The Glenn interview would be virtual as well per NFL rules. Vrabel interviewed with the Bears on Wednesday and the Jets last week, with possible others to come. I'm going to be like Stephen A. Let me be very clear about this, okay? If the New England Patriots let Mike Vrabel leave that building today without a contract, even if it's in secret and we don't officially know for a day or two, then something is wrong. He cannot leave at Gillette today if that's where it's going to be happening, which I assume it is. You cannot let him out of that building without him becoming head coach. Absolutely not. There will be hell to pay if that is the case. And I and others believe that we got nothing to worry about because he is going to be the man, the next head coach of the New England Patriots. It certainly seems that way. It's been on everybody's radar, including guys like Adam Schefter, who I trust implicitly with this kind of stuff. He really believes that, and as the rest of it, it's the right move for the Patriots. And I saw some numbnuts on Twitter. Tweeted my buddy Glenn Ordway because he made stuff we've been talking about. The guy's two-time coach of the year, everything else. Somebody's like, why do you want these Patriot retreads? What the hell are you people talking about? Some of you fans out there want Patriot. The guy was a two-time coach of the year. He has head coach experience. He was at Ohio State. He was with a few other teams as well. I mean, give me a break. Only reason to get fired from Tennessee is because the owner and the GM are nuts, and the GM traded away all his players. That's not. That wasn't his fault. Guy's two-time coach of the year. Why would anybody for the Patriots, a fan, not want Mike Vrabel to come and coach this team? It's ridiculous. The people out there coming up with Patriot Reach, stop it. This is not Romeo Crennel and Josh McDaniels. This is different with Mike Vrabel. He's got experience, two-time coach of the year, I believe. I mean, my God, just stop it with that stuff. Anyway, the bottom line is if the Patriots do not let him out of the building today, don't let him out of the building. We got a lot of other NFL news to talk about. You heard Nick Sirianni at the top there and my lead-in coming into the show today. Sal Pal was at practice yesterday. Sal Paolantonio from ESPN. And for you Eagles fans out there, good news.
You watched Hurts today. What were your biggest takeaways as he was on the practice field?
All smiles in South Philadelphia, Kevin. Number one, the prodigal son, back on the practice field after 3 weeks in a concussion protocol. And I was looking for three things. Let's look at him in practice. Number one, how was he moving? He was quick. His feet were solid under him. He was definitely moving with confidence. How was he throwing the football? The ball came out of his hand crisp and clean, plenty of velocity, good trajectory on the football, very accurate with the football. And then what specifically were they looking for, Kevin? What were they working on? They were working on balance. You can see him in some of these drills. He's straddling these 4x4 tackling dummies and getting his footwork solid under him when he throws the football. Very important. Jalen Hurts is always working on his footwork, but coming out of the concussion protocol, we're now in step 4 or 5, depending on your interpretation of the NFL's concussion protocol. And after this practice, they will look for a couple of things. They will look for neurocognitive and balance testing to make sure that his baseline lines up with where he is right now. And then the team doctor will examine him and clear him. And then the independent neurological consultant by the NFL and the NFLPA has to clear him before he's ready for the Green Bay Packers. So we're at Wednesday, got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a 4 o'clock game on Sunday. Plenty of time for him to get acclimated, get back on the field, get ready for full contact on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers.
And right
at
now,
the link, Kevin.
yes.
You know the link in South Philadelphia. It's going to be crazy down there.
Yep, absolutely is. And we'll have more preview sound for that as well, for that big game coming up. Obviously, they're all big games in the playoffs. I want to update you also on what is going on out west. The Pacific Palisades is the 70, 75 mile an hour winds. It continues to be absolutely, it's just unbelievable. So much so many people have lost lives. Obviously, we've lost a lot of homes and cars. The football game, though, is coming up on Monday night at SoFi. Supposedly, the Rams are going to host the Minnesota Vikings, but here is Adam Schefter on ESPN, and they're monitoring the situation. Here's the latest. My bad. See, when Angel's not here today, I have to hit more buttons. Sometimes I think they're pushed, but they're not. Anyway, here's Adam Schefter on the situation.
What are you hearing about the potential that Monday night's game between the Rams and Vikings could be moved to a different location?
Such a scary, troubling situation out in California. So many people fighting those fires. And my understanding right now, Kevin, is as of right now, there are no plans to move that game. But it's early in the week, and that game is still 5 days away. And this is such a potent fire. Let's see what happens. The NFL said today it is monitoring events, just like the NBA is monitoring events there for NBA games in California and the Los Angeles area as well. And the NFL will be doing the same exact thing. But in speaking to the teams today, there is not a plan to move or shift that game right now. Again, if that warrants a change later in the week, the NFL will be flexible and nimble and adapt to it. But everybody is hoping that they can get the fire under control and keep the damage to a minimum.
Oh, no question. No question. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. Also coming up today, I forgot to mention that John Meter-Perel will join me at 9:05. We'll talk some college football and a little bit of college basketball as well. But just a scary, scary, scary situation out there. Thousands of people had to evacuate. And you just heard the update there. In 2003, the league moved a Monday night regular season game between Miami and San Diego to Sun Devil Stadium in Tampa because of wildfires. I remember that. And the Rams, who had a scheduled day off yesterday, are slated to resume practice today, and they're monitoring the situation according to team officials. And Rams said no players or staff members have been affected by the fires. The team is headquartered in Woodland Hills, which is a neighborhood located about 13 miles north of the fire-ravaged Pacific Palisades, but separated by the Santa Monica Mountains. Now, the Chargers will visit the Texans on Saturday in that wildcard playoff game in Houston, altered the practice schedule yesterday to limit players' time outdoors. The air quality index in the area varied yesterday from 150 to well above 300, depending on specific locations, with smoke and ash blanketing the region. So a rating of 150 is considered very unhealthy, according to the system used to measure air pollution. The air quality in Inglewood, by the way, where SoFi is located, was 281 on Wednesday afternoon. Again, a rating of 150 is unhealthy, and this was at 281. Jeez. Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh had the offense and defense to practice separately to limit their time on the field. And quarterback Justin Herbert and the rest of the quarterbacks were throwing passes to coaches during the defensive portion of practice. Chargers owner Dean Spanos, who typically isn't out on the field at practice, was there watching with GM Joe Horitz during the defensive period open to the media. The air quality index at the team's facility in El Segundo ranged from 170 to 200. And Jesse Minter, the DC at the Chargers, says we're trying to keep everybody safe and healthy as much as possible, and also at the same time our preparation, getting it done for the game. Now, I know the LA Kings canceled their game last night as well. I know some NBA players have gone left temporarily to go try to be with, to make sure the family is okay. But man, it's just unbelievable. Thousands of firefighters already attacking the flames in LA. The fire department put up a plea for off-duty fighters to help. So far, we know at least 5 people have been killed, according to officials. Man, oh man, oh man. So hopefully they can. There won't be any more lives lost, and they will get this. They will get this under control. A couple of interesting playoff scenarios out there with, or I should say, NFL postseason scenarios out there with Mike Tomlin, Kevin O'Connell. Talking about, we mentioned the Kevin O'Connell trade rumors, and they're not right. I mean, the people are saying that they're going to be asked. He's going to be asked. 99%, he's going to stay with Minnesota, no question. But people should, as I talked about yesterday with Chris Price, people should be asking about it anyway. You'd be stupid not to ask. Same thing for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin now with the Steelers is the quote unquote trade rumors are out there. Not that. I mean, you should. I mean, you should do your due diligence and contact the Steelers to see, if you could get a trade for him. That's certainly possible. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL besides the playoff games, which start this weekend, which will break it all down for you. But I also want to, tonight is the college football semifinals in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, where it might be a little chilly. Probably 7:30, 7:45 when the game starts. Probably be in the high 40s, low 50s. But not snow or anything like that. But it's definitely a little bit chillier this time of year than people are expected to. Again, Rick Horrow will join me at 8:30. We'll talk more about that with him. As far as the game goes tonight with Notre Dame and Penn State, I like Penn State tonight. It's basically a pick-em game. I like Penn State is a 1-point underdog, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a field goal game. It's going to be 20-17, something like that. I do not expect a lot of scoring in this football game at all. Notre Dame ranks 3rd nationally in turnover margin at +18. That was +2 against Georgia, and their big reason why they prevailed, despite amassing only 244 yards. Again, Georgia handed it. They gave them the fumble at the end of the first half, and then the special teams kickoff to start the second half, and that did them in. Otherwise, you take those 2 plays away, Georgia wins the game. But if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, right, you'd all have a hell of a party. Penn State, by the way, 4-1, all time at the Orange Bowl, make their first appearance there since 2006. Notre Dame's last postseason game in Miami, the 2013 BCS national title game, but it hasn't played in the Orange Bowl since 1996, Fighting Irish 2-3 in the Orange Bowl. The teams have not met since September 8th, 2007. Penn State won 31-10 at Happy Valley. The all-time series all knotted up 9-1, Mrs. Bueller. 9 times, 9-1. And the two schools have met only once in a bowl game, Notre Dame winning the Gator Bowl in 1976, when I was a wee lad of 9 years old. Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton have powered Penn State's formidable running game, as most of you know, combining for over 2,000 yards, 2,041 yards and 17 touchdowns on the season. And the guy to watch Abdul Carter, people, even my Patriots friends, watch this guy on defense. He has 21 and a half tackles this year for a loss. Let me say that again, 21 and a half tackles this year for a loss and 11 sacks. But his status for the Orange Bowl, unfortunately, tonight he's not 100% due to an arm injury. But Coach Franklin says he believes that there's a great chance he's going to play. Riley Leonard has been outstanding this year. He's thrown for 2,383 yards, 18 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. And again, I always say once you have that touchdown-interception ratio at above 2-1, you're looking good. His is at 3-1. However, he has also rushed for 831 yards and 15 touchdowns. He only threw for 90 yards, but he ran for 80 against Georgia. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game tonight. I'm going to take Penn State by a field goal, say 20-17. I think the game goes well under the 45. But, nothing's etched in stone. But that's just my personal opinion. I like Penn State, and I like under in the matchup, but more so on Penn State. Now, speaking of college football, see, this is where a lot of times I think Stephen A., who always just yells Alabama, 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 and guys like Chris Russo, and they say Chris Russo went off on, not only to go off on Shad Khan, which I completely understand, but he goes off on college football. And he started making these ridiculous, and I got to find it. He started making these ridiculous comments about Notre Dame being like putting college football on the map. And I got to find it. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear it. I hope I tweeted it out. I thought I did. Well, there's one about Shad Khan. Anyway, he basically said that Notre Dame will put college football kind of back on the map. See, I don't know what planet everybody's living on, and maybe some of you in the Midwest and the Northeast, mostly the Northeast, and maybe a couple other parts of the country. Look, the NFL is 1 in this country, and college football is 2. And it's really like 1 and 1A, depending on where you live. And that's it. I mean, the other sports, it's not even close. It's not even remotely close. It's not even remotely talked about. These people, some of them in Bristol, want to talk more about the Lakers sucking than they want to do the college football playoff. Notre Dame is not putting college football on the map because they're in this matchup. Those days are done. Yes, they're still significant. Yes, I respect them. I don't like them. It's just, just my thing. My dad loved them. I told you, my dad used to call up, me being a Hurricane fan. Anytime Notre Dame won, I would get on my answering machine back in the day when they had them. He'd sing da 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 da. It was very obnoxious, but that was my dad. He was great, just to kind of rub it in. But I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I respect the school, the institution, and the football organization, all that stuff. I get it. I'm just not a fan of them. But for Mad Dog, see, the days are done. There's just too much with Nil and the transfer portal, and even before that with Notre Dame football. I mean, they haven't won anything. They haven't won a championship since 1988. Okay, there's just too much. Just too many other teams that are just as good, that are better. Simply been better. It's not taking anything away from Notre Dame. I know you got the people from Notre Dame that think the sun rises and sets. Some of you thinks the sun rises and sets on that institution and that they can do no wrong and touchdown Jesus and all that bullshit. But the fact of the matter is, they're not up on the pedestal anymore. This is not Eric Parsegian. This is not, there's a lot of great teams out there. Notre Dame has played some very good football this year. I don't know if they played great football. I'll give the Georgia game, I guess you have to say they played at least very good football. Georgia handed them 14 points. Again, one on special teams and one on the field on the fumble at the end of the first half. It was ridiculous. Otherwise, you look at that box score and you think, Georgia might have won by 10. But not the case. Notre Dame made more plays. They deserve it. They deserve to be here, and they'll go up against Penn State. And I think Penn State will win by a field goal. But can Notre Dame win? Absolutely, they can win. But you got to get it out of your head that Notre Dame still, and I know they think that because they're not in a conference, and I know they think they're still very special. They're not. You're not any more special in college football than all the other great teams that are out there. Most of them, many of them from the SEC, the Big Ten, and the ACC. You're not alone on an island anymore. It's not like it's the be-all, end-all to go to South Bend. It's just not. And they got to get over themselves. And guys like Mad Dog Russo, who doesn't watch a lot of college football, it's blatantly obvious until this time of year. To make that kind of comment, I think was absolutely stupid, ridiculous. But I will play you one of his. Before we get to that, I do. As long as we're sticking on the subject of tonight's playoff game between Penn State and Notre Dame. Let me see. Let me get to it. Let's see. Okay, yesterday on Get Up, the guys were talking about this game being the biggest of James Franklin's coaching career for Penn State.
Heather, let's talk about the coach of the Nittany Lions. They call him Big Game James, and they don't mean it in a good way. What would it mean for him if he wins this game tomorrow night?
Well, this is the biggest game of his career, and it's a chance to not silence his critics who wonder if he can win the big game, but it's at least a chance to close the gap with the elite coaches who can. When you look at his record against AP top 5 opponents, by comparison, when you look at Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, they all have winning records as head coaches against top 5 teams. So this is an opportunity for him to at least start to close that gap.
Heather, let's talk about.
And you guys can see the numbers, but James Franklin in his coaching career is 1-18 against top 5 opponents, 1-15 while at Penn State. Let me say that again. James Franklin, 1-18 versus top 5 opponents, 1-15 while he's at Penn State. So a lot of pressure on him and any coach when you're in the college football semifinals, but this is obviously the biggest game of his career. I think he's going to get it done. I think that they're going to squeak out a win in Miami tonight against Notre Dame. Let's see. More on this from SiriusXM, Big Ten Radio. Anthony Harrison believes that Nick Singleton becomes a pass catcher against Notre Dame.
Tyler Warren, I would imagine, will get some additional attention. It's hard to just say, hey, even as confident as Notre Dame is in their safeties, it's hard to just say, hey, safety, take away Tyler Warren all game, especially as much of a key as he is in Penn State's offense. And even if they try to do that, we've seen that Andy Kotelnicki has plenty of plays available to try and scheme Tyler Warren into space, to try and scheme him into having the football. Even if you don't drop back and try to pass it to him, you just put him in the backfield and hand it to him. They got ways to get him to rock. Can anyone else from Penn State step up as a pass receiver? Trey Wallace is the main target who Drew Aller seems most comfortable trying to feed the football to. So as a non-Tyler Warren pass catcher, Trey Wallace is worth having your eye on, but I think the more likely non-Tyler Warren pass-catching candidate is actually Nicholas Singleton. So this strikes me as a game, because of the amount of man coverage that Notre Dame plays, this strikes me as a game where Kotelnicki goes in and says, we can throw the football to our running backs. Katron Allen has been carry by carry their most consistent runner, just where he's getting good, effective, efficient gains when he gets the ball on handoffs. And then Nick Singleton gets the chance at some point to pop that big run, which he's done pretty consistently too. But as far as the throw game for the Nittany Lions, the amount of man coverage that Notre Dame plays, I would say look out for Nick Singleton just being a quality pass receiving option for Drew Aller out of the backfield, as opposed to, all right, they're in man coverage, let me try to go downtown and pick up the chunk play, give Trey Wallace a shot. They just haven't been catching the ball that well for him. I think Drew Aller's thrown the ball pretty well in the playoff, but much better than the numbers would indicate. The playmakers for Penn State haven't been as effective. Even Tyler Warren had a drop in the last game late in the first half. But I would say Nick Singleton out of the backfield as a pass receiver, that's something to look out for.
All right. Meanwhile, during the press conference the other day, James Franklin and Marcus Freeman had some good chuckles.
Yeah, Coach Franklin has a lot more experience. One, being a head coach in college football and even just being in the college athletics.
On the right. I'm sorry.
I think in a very eloquent way, Marcus just called me old. What you said? Much more experience. Yeah, that word. Yeah.
Well, here's James Franklin on Marcus Freeman and the respect he has for Notre Dame.
I'm looking over here at Marcus, and how old are you now, Marcus?
38.
38. I mean, look at the hairline on this guy. I mean, envious of his hairline in a lot of ways. But Marcus has done a phenomenal job, and obviously he is the leader of one of the most storied programs in college football history, and so much respect for him and his career and his staff. He's got a great staff, got great leadership, just like we do at Penn State now.
And Marcus Freeman was very grateful that he and the Irish are at the Orange Bowl.
We're grateful to be a part of this prestigious bowl game. I want to thank the Orange Bowl committee for the welcome yesterday. This is my first opportunity to be a part of this game, and as I said last night, your reputation precedes itself. we appreciate the welcome to South Florida for our families and all those that traveled. And so we know the work that's put in to put on one of these games, and we are very grateful for it. Looking forward to a great opportunity tomorrow night versus a extremely good football team. As Coach Franklin said, I have a lot of respect for him and the job he's done in college football, and this football team is a very good one that we have to continue to prepare for. We've got to use these next 24 hours to finish our preparation in anticipation of this great opportunity that lies ahead. So we'll do that, but again, we'll understand that we'll do that with being grateful for this opportunity we have ahead of us.
All right, there's a pretty good preview of what's going on tonight. I'll be watching. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching as well. It's 7:30 here on ESPN. Notre Dame and Penn State going into that Hard Rock and one college semifinal game. Tomorrow in Dallas, weather permitting, it's supposed to get 4 inches of snow up by Jerry's World tomorrow. They're worried about it a little bit, and that's when Ohio State will take on Texas in that one. We'll have more on that a little bit later on today and do a lot more preview on that game tomorrow. Lots of NFL news coming up. Reaction about Mike Vrabel heading to Foxborough today. Some really good stuff from Pat McAfee and some others on ESPN. Some good takes as well as my own. Like I said, I don't care. Tie him down. Do not let Mike Vrabel out of that building. Please do not let it happen. Matt Dell goes off on Shad Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll have that. And even some hockey news in works. The 2026 Winter Classic is headed to Miami, and Bill Zito, the GM of the Florida Panthers, was on NHL on TNT last night and talked about it. We'll have the audio for you as well of that. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show. And, of course, Rick Horror coming up at 8:30 this morning, our sports business guru. John Meter-Perrell at 9:05. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show today right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment? You got it. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show. I want to remind everybody also, Phil Castanetti Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Get down there when you can. There's always some great stuff going on at Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. That's 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. You be there, darn it. Get there. Bill's a great guy. There is so much cool stuff in that place, and they got some other signings and some other great events coming up that we'll be able to tell you about over the next couple of days. Also, for the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combing through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. All right. Rick Ho coming up a little less than an hour today here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network. John Meter-Perrell as well at 9:05. The Angel Martinez is off today. He is on assignment, and we'll be back. He will be back on Monday. All right, but you can always follow me at Twitter X at PShep326. Across all the Facebook pages, my own Facebook page, the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page, also at Tampa Joe's Facebook page, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, And you can text and call the show, 727-858-6650. But I can't answer calls today because Angel has to do that, but Angel is not here. And don't forget the sports radio app, SR1029. You see it right up there, SR1029 The Game, and SR1029thegame.com. It is great stuff. So check it out. So as I said, I will keep saying that the Patriots need to not let Mike Vrabel out of the building today. He is scheduled for the interview today, and I can't see how they let him out of the building, even if some secret deal is made. They've done all the interviews they need to do. They've fulfilled all the Rooney Rule obligations. So the worst kept secret in the world being Mike Vrabel not becoming head coach for the New England Patriots. But let's see. Let's get into more of that. Let's get some reaction. There's also what's going on with the Raiders as well, and Bill Belichick's name and some other report. Bill Belichick is not going to leave North Carolina. He just got the kid from Connecticut to flip the defensive player and go play for them. I'll get more of that in a second. Bill Belichick is not leaving North Carolina for anybody, not even for Tom Brady and the Raiders, even though he can opt out at any time for $10 million, which is nothing. So, meanwhile, here's Mike Vrabel. Here's Pat McAfee on his show yesterday talking about Mike Vrabel.
Getting an interview is a big deal for a head coaching job. Yeah. But it has been assumed for almost a couple weeks now that if Gerard Mayo gets fired, Mike Vrabel's going to be the head coach. Vrabel's getting a head coach interview on Thursday is what's being reported, I believe, by Rap Sheet reported that. So what are your expectations on how this whole thing goes?
My expectation is that Mike Vrabel announces the head coach of the New England Patriots.
This guy didn't even give Pep and Byron left, which is shocking.
No, and
that's part of the problem.
I did.
We know. I think we all know it's going to be Mike Vrabel, and unfortunately, this is the song and dance they have to do. This is a part of Rooney Rule. Now, the Rooney Rule, in theory, and shout out to the Rooney, shout out, we got a bunch of Steelers fans, and shout out to Rooney. It was definitely needed to get black coaches more opportunities, more real opportunities, and to get even to the interview process where you have a chance to get hired. So, in theory, or as Green would say, maybe in a vacuum, that was a good idea. Okay. But outside of it, the Patriots, they probably have their candidate they want. They know they have to hire, but they have to go through this process. And I'm sure this happens at other places as well. And maybe somebody does blow their socks off during the interview process. But like
maybe they do in a vacuum.
Alluded to
like a vacuum.
And these are good coaches, like you mentioned. We spent time with Pep. Pep has been around for a long time. Byron Leftwich, I haven't spent time with him, in the building as a coach. I think AQ did, so I can't really speak on him, on Byron. But it is kind of.
What else was the other? They did like a happy hour. Remember they were doing happy hours down at the owners' meeting?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they say a lot of these owners hire people that they know or people that are in the building know.
Yes.
And they maybe don't have friendships or relationships outside of their race, which was a real conversation that was taking place, which I think happens in the real world too. And nobody really wants to bring it up. Everybody wants to be unified, but not a lot of people have this to learn about everything. So I think that was happening with the NFL and ownership. So they're having like these happy hours and cocktail hours down at the meetings. They instituted the Rooney Rule. I think there was a real effort. But now whenever something like this happens and everybody knows.
Yeah, you're going to make a mockery of it. And that's just what it is. And that's the biggest part of it. People, and that, like you mentioned, it happens in business. It happens in any Fortune 500 companies. Like you tend to hire people you're more comfortable with in your circle. You'll have a beer with. I had a GM tell me years ago that that's basically what it comes down to. Who's the guy you'd rather have a beer with? If all things are equal.
Well, a real American beer?
I haven't tried. I don't think I'll try.
You won't?
I won't. I am still playing the game. I put the Hawks through about 7 tables last night. But yeah, it does come down to that.
Who you were playing as
me,
you?
Of course. I only play as me. You kidding me? As I've said, WWE 2K24.
All right, there's the boys and Pat McAfee talking about Mike Vrabel, and absolutely, and they're right. I mean, the Rooney Rule needed to be instituted. There's no question about it. But it's a fraudulent thing because owners and other owners and execs are going to have their mind made up. It might well be a minority candidate from time to time, but a lot of times it isn't. Exactly what these guys said. Sometimes the owners just feel more comfortable. Or who do you want to have a beer with? Well, Mike Vrabel certainly fits that. I don't care what color he is. Mike Vrabel needs to be and better be the next head coach of the Patriots, and I believe that he will when it's all said and done. I believe that he will when it's all said and done. More on the NFL. Let me see here. Yeah, I wanted to get to more from McAfee. This is really good because CBS NFL analyst J.J. Watt was with him yesterday, and also they started to go talking about Bill Belichick and what is going on with him, and that the door could be open if necessary.
We just talked about Prime potentially going to Las Vegas. We just talked about Bill Belichick potentially getting back into the NFL. We just talked about Pete Carroll getting interviewed by the Chicago Bears, and we just talked about Mike McCarthy being denied access to an interview with the Chicago Bears by the Dallas Cowboys because he is in an exclusive negotiating window with the Dallas Cowboys until the 14th. What are your thoughts on this coaching cycle, and which one of those piques your interest the most, Jage?
The whole cycle is really, really interesting to me. The Belichick one is fascinating because you don't build your contract like that if you don't want to at least keep that door open for a reason. I mean, otherwise, why would you have such a little buyout? And just thinking about the possibilities of that and what the logistics of if that happened and what North Carolina would do, how it would all work. I mean, that's just a fascinating, fun one to think about. McCarthy one's interesting because, like, he's technically out of a job right now, but he's also in that exclusive window. So it's funny that he doesn't have a job but is not allowed to talk to the teams.
I don't know how his agent agreed to that. Because normally that exclusive negotiating window happens before the contract expires. I don't know how this was agreed to, and I don't know how normal this is. This is my first time ever hearing about this.
No, it's very interesting. It's like he's free, but he's not free. So very weird there. Prime obviously would just be phenomenal for many reasons. Entertaining, just chaos. It would be great. Pete Carroll, I think, deserves another shot. I don't know why it's why it's not more common that he should get another shot and would be successful. I mean, I think that he's a great ball coach guys love playing for, has had success. He's a guy that I would certainly look at. And he's also one of those CEO types who, yes, he has his hands in a lot of the different things, but he's not going to be running your offense or your defense. He's going to be overseeing the organization as a whole and making sure the entire thing runs properly. So I really like him. And then obviously Vrabel in New England makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, I think everybody kind of thinks that's where that's going. It certainly makes a lot of sense there.
Was that all?
And then the guys,
We don't know that.
the guys from
we don't know
Detroit.
that. We don't know if that's true.
But sense would say it does make it.
Absolutely. Now, they just mentioned Deion Sanders, okay? Now, this is really interesting. They mentioned Deion Sanders. And Deion spoke yesterday on one of these podcasts. Here's Deion about coaching in the NFL.
But is there a chance that you could head to the NFL?
I know where you're going. you try to go viral, right? Yeah. If I respond, you know we're going viral, right?
I know, right?
You know what? The only way I would consider is to coach my son. Not son. No. Sons. Okay.
I think we're going to go viral with that.
Yeah.
So that's not a no.
Well, I love Colorado. Now, I love my Buffaloes. I love everything that we're building. I love everything that we're doing. And I love Boulder, Colorado. I do.
Yeah. Does anybody really believe that he is going to stay there for the rest of his life? Because I sure as hell don't. And, you know, he still thinks he's in control of where his son is going to play. I guess he is. I mean, you go back over the years, there have been certain athletes who've controlled their own destiny, whether they want to get drafted by this team or that team. It started, you know, even John Elway, even before him, he didn't want to play for the Baltimore Colts. He wanted to play for anybody but them. He was threatened to go play for the Yankees, and he ended up, you know, with the Denver Broncos, and the rest is history. We've seen it before in other sports as well. We saw Eli Manning also. He didn't want to play for the Chargers for whatever reason and ended up playing for the Giants. So I don't know how much real power that Deion Sanders is going to have over Shedeur Sanders. I guess before he was all gung-ho about him going to the Giants, but now it's either going to be Cleveland or Tennessee, more than likely. Whoever takes Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, they're both going to go 1-2. And it's either going to be Tennessee, Cleveland, or vice versa, unless there's a trade made or something like that. But we shall see. What else? Okay, so getting back to the NFL. And this is another interesting take here. Here is Ryan Fitzpatrick yesterday what podcast was he on? U.S. Stadium, I think, had this. Ryan Fitzpatrick talked about Brian Flores. Some interesting stuff here and he played for him and a lot of other teams as well. Here's Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brian Flores. There's also his name being thrown around. He's now the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. I want to personally steal him and take him onto Mike Vrabel's staff, but I don't think he would leave for a lateral move. Can't say I'm 100% wrong, but I'm pretty close at 99% that he's not going. He is not going anywhere anytime soon. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's going to be interviewed. He's going to be interviewing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I shouldn't say that. I'm saying he won't make a lateral move. He won't make a lateral move. Certainly, he's going to take a head coaching job. If it's offered to it again. Here's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Flores has been a really hot name, and I think the further removed we get from his tenure in Miami, the more people kind of forget about how that ended, and the better his name becomes. You know, he went to Pittsburgh and got to learn under Mike Tomlin and see how he led, and now he's been in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. I think the interesting thing with Brian Flores, when I think about him and being able to play under him for a few years, is which version of Brian Flores are we getting? And in year one with Miami, take you back to that year, I mean, Miami got rid of every good player they had. And that was the jokingly called the tank for two a year. But I'll tell you, halfway through that year, we hadn't won a game yet. And there was a shift in the way that he was approaching his job. He was likable. He was relatable. He demanded a lot out of the players, but he was also able to get the best version of his players. And I really appreciated him for that. But as his tenure went on in Miami, he kind of became unrecognizable. A lot of the staff he brought over from New England, that was where, you know, he cut his teeth in the NFL, was there for 15 plus years as an assistant. But I think he's going to have a really hard time if you're interviewing him as a head coach. I think in the interviews, he'll be likable, he'll be relatable. But when people say, okay, give me somebody from Miami that coached under you as a reference so we can talk to them, I think he burned a lot of bridges there. I think he alienated himself from the entire staff. Instead of what you were just talking about, having the humility to ask questions, to collaborate. I think by the end of his time there, he became a dictator. He ruined a lot of those relationships that he built up through the NFL. And his ego grew so big that there wasn't any room for anyone else. And so that was why he got released at the end of his tenure in Miami. I hope, you know, we love Mike Tomlin as a leader. And I know you have some experience with Kevin O'Connell, that whole collaboration thing. I think that's, you know, McVay and the people that come up through that system, for Flores to be able to watch Kevin for a year. I hope that helps him.
Yeah.
Because he certainly needs some help in that department of, you know, not necessarily being a dictator and having a collaboration with the whole staff and having a lot of different voices and how.
I don't know. Okay. You know, dictator seems a little strong to me. He actually, after that, tweeted out, would love for everyone interested to listen to the whole conversation that Whit and I had. I really like Brian Flores. I consider him a friend. The end in Miami wasn't pretty, but I think he has grown and can look back on his tenure in Miami knowing he wasn't perfect, and he has learned a lot. Now, here's the thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we had a great conversation yesterday with Mia O'Brien from 1010XL. And we talk about, you know, Trent Baalke's still there as the GM, and Brian Flores is not going to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars as long as Baalke is there and has more autonomy than he does. And I still believe, we talked about Shad Khan's son, Tony Khan, being involved. He's involved in a lot of other projects, but he's also involved with a lot of the analytics and with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which has been a turnoff for a lot of other coaches that he is involved in that. So we will monitor that situation. Brian Flores to Jacksonville, I would be shocked if it was him. In fact, I'll be shocked if it's anybody but Ben Johnson, to be honest with you. I think that's going to be the guy, and it's going to have to be a guy that's going to have somebody that's going to have to do a little ass smooching to Baalke and to Shad Khan, because that's what's happened. Manny, how are you, Manny? You the man. Thanks for you the man back. Thanks, Manny, for listening. You the man, great guy. Great journalist, retired now, I believe, and doing great things. Manny, awesome. Awesome. One of the first people I ever met in the business way back. I talk about when Patriots were in Suckville. I mean, like 89, 90, and Manny was there covering for his outlet. Was it the Patriot? I forget, Manny, and forgive me. But you were a great journalist, and you were always very, very kind to me, and it was great learning from you and others back then. You, Ron Hobson, and others, just watching you on the daily routines and how you handle yourself. Kevin Mannix. Back in the day, the Touchdown Twins, as they were called back then. But Manny, you were awesome. Always remember Manny from way back. Okay, now I want to get to Matt. Speaking of the, might as well get this out of the way. Now, not out of the way. This. Mad Dog went on a couple of rants on Wednesday, as he usually does. One was a stupid one about Notre Dame and putting college football back on the map. Which, using that, even say that phrase in this day and age is just so stupid. The NFL is 1, college football is 2, and everybody else is way down at the bottom. It's just that way. Not in every single market, obviously, I understand that. But as far as what people care about, what fans care about in this country, NFL is 1, college football is 2, and then you can stick the NBA and the NHL and Major League Baseball wherever you want. It's not even close. When you factor in everybody in the country, it's not even close. So, Mad Dog goes off, though. This is the decent one on Shad Khan and the Jaguars organization.
Let's call this like we see it. How about this Jacksonville owner, Khan? He doesn't get a lot of grief. He is by far horrendous. He's owned the team since 2011. They have had 1 year where they won 10 games. Yeah. Did you know that? The man has been there for 13 years. He's had 1 year where he's won 10 games. They are non-competitive. Furthermore, he brought Urban Meyer in. He plays 2 games in London because he wants to become the United Kingdom's team. Trust me. My mother's English. Nobody in the world, nobody cares in London about the stupid Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's not true.
For 2 weeks, they lose the home game. That's a mess. And then he goes out there and he fires Peterson and keeps the GM there this week. Yeah. And then his statement says, well, I understand we're going to lose some head coaching candidates because I kept the GM. Well, hold on now. And he's got his kid, who's the head of the statistical data. How could you say anything about Jacksonville when you got the kid sitting in the freaking front office? What's he ever done in football? Let's call it like we see it. Yeah. We kill the owners all the time. Woody's awful. Haslam, we just named a few. Jerry, how many times have we killed Jerry here? Yeah. Let's call it like we see it. There is nobody worse than Khan. Go look at his record. Go look at his record as the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is behind. It's pathetic. So we killed Lawrence, we killed Peterson, we killed Doug Marrone, we killed this, we killed... Right. How about killing a guy who wants to start the paychecks? This is not freaking an automotive store where he made his fortune. This is an NFL team.
Come! My Star Trek 2 reference. Anyway, he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. There's no question. He deserves as much flack as, maybe not as much as Woody Johnson, or maybe not as much as, but certainly he's got to be right up there. He is not that far behind. You keep your general manager on, and it is going to dissuade some people, despite all your money you're going to put into these renovations and all that stuff. It is not an attractive position for somebody. Now, a Ben Johnson type, or somebody that's a younger guy that's going to be offered a head coach. Of course, he's going to say all the right things, and he's going to kiss ass on Balky and Tony Khan and Shad Khan. That's what they have to hope for, because anybody with half a brain and a serious coach is not going to sit there and take orders from Balky. Ain't going to happen. So that's why, Johnson might be the one guy that they might be able to get, provided another team doesn't steal him before that. We shall see. All right. 1 hour is in the books. Next hour, coming up at the bottom of the next hour, Rick Horrow, sports business guru, will join me. We'll talk all about, see if he's going to the game tonight. I suspect that he is, between Penn State and Notre Dame. And then John Meter Perel at 9:05 as well. Probably a shorter show today, only till 9:30, because Angel is not here and I can't play a lot of video. But lots more audio coming up, and not only from the NFL and college football. We're going to preview some of the games, playoff games in the NFL. In fact, we'll preview all of them coming up next hour for a little bit. And we'll have the general manager of the Florida Panthers visiting NHL Network last night, talking about the Winter Classic coming to Miami in 2026. How are they going to do that? I can't wait to hear how they're going to do this. It's going to be a very expensive ice, and if it's a day like this, that's okay. You know, where it's going to be in the 40s and 50s and low 60s. Maybe you might get to 61 today in Southwest Florida and even over on the East Coast. It's not going to be that warm today. Maybe with the game, they'd have to, if the game is closer late afternoon and it's a day like this, it'll be a lot less expensive. But if it's one of those warmer days in the 70s, I don't know how the hell they're going to do it. But we'll find out. We are absolutely going to find out because the Florida Panthers general manager, Bill Zito, is going to talk about it. We'll hear from him. Again, more NFL stuff coming up next as the Pete Sheppard Show continues. Hour number 2 next on the Coastal Sports Network. Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Don't let them turn. It's what the playoffs is. I mean, like, whatever, you get through the drama, the ups and downs of the season, and how you shake it. You're in a single elimination. You use that now to burn the boats. Because you got to win and stay in and dive and advance. So we use everything at our disposal.
All right, Pittsburgh offensive coordinator Arthur Smith talked about on 93.7 The Fan. Will he be using Justin Fields in some way, shape, or form? And as he said, leave no stone unturned. We shall see. Pittsburgh at Baltimore for the third time this year. And that'll be at 8 o'clock coming up on Saturday. Previously, as the NFL playoff wildcard weekend gets underway, one of the most exciting weekends of the year. Welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show, hour number 2. Chargers at Houston will proceed that at 4:30 Eastern time, of course, in Pittsburgh at Baltimore at 8 o'clock. We'll have more preview sound coming up in just a bit here on the Coastal Sports Network on the Pete Sheppard Show. Thanks again for following me on Twitter, X at PShep326, across all the Facebook platforms, including on the Coastal Sports Network now, of course, on my Facebook page. Angels and a lot more. Tampa Joe's up in Tampa, great sports bar. Check us out also on CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, of course. And usually you can call or text at this number, 727-858-6650. But Angel isn't in today. But should you text on the other platforms, I should be able to see it. So we welcome all of that. And don't forget, listen on the great sports app, SR1029 The Games. You can see right there at the top of the screen, SR1029 The Game and SR1029TheGame.com. That's the best way to listen to the show. If you're in your car traveling, I mean, you can get the video platform stuff. And, you know, if you clicked on your car, if your phone's plugged in, you click on, I mean, it'll come. But on my Facebook page, the SR1029 The Game, the link is right there. And you don't need to, you can click it off. It's available all over the place. So it's SR1029 The Game. There you have it. I mentioned earlier about talking about Bill Belichick and the $10 million opt-out that he has in case he wants to leave North Carolina. I don't think that's going to happen. In case you missed it yesterday, defensive lineman for UConn, and if you saw the game at Fenway the other day or last week against North Carolina, this guy dominated. Defensive lineman Price Yates has signed with North Carolina, happened on Tuesday, so he's transferring to go play for Bill Belichick. He was outstanding in the victory against North Carolina last week, recorded a sack, had 3 tackles for a loss. He earned defensive MVP honors. So he's a redshirt junior from San Antonio, initially entered the portal back in December 13th before withdrawing 8 days later, announcing on social media he intended to return for the 2025 season. Following his bowl game performance, Yates re-entered the portal December 30th. Hours before Yates put his name back in the portal, UConn coach Jim Mora posted on X that he planned to pursue all avenues against teams that tamper with his players, recruit them off the Huskies roster. He says, a simple note to the schools and coaches that have blatantly taken NCAA football rules by tampering with our players the last 24 hours. We do know who you are. We will pursue all avenues to avoid you accountable. We are excited that we have built a program where coaches have to cheat to beat us, and we will protect that program. Think hard before you tamper our players. Yeah, think hard before you tamper with our players. Okay, here's my message for you.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Mora later added that he doesn't know how to fix the tampering issue in college football, but that will, quote, we will expose any program and coach that violates NCAA rules. He added, I'm 100% against grown men cheating the rules and teaching players horrible life lessons. Wake up and smell the coffee, Mrs. Bueller, Mr. Mora. Please, what fucking world are you living in? You're lucky to get anybody to go to UConn to play football. Please. Anyway, North Carolina's picked up commitments from 13 transfers since the 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach took over the program in December 11th. There'll be a hell of a lot more. And I promise you, Jim Mora, that you can fire all the tampering charge, whatever. You're out of your league if you think you're going to get anywhere with that. It's the transfer portal. It's nil money. That's what it's all about. You can't pay, you're not going to play. It's just not. It's not going to. The big time players are going to get paid. It should have been that way from a long time ago. It's just the way it is. I know a lot of you don't like it. Tough. That's the way it is. It's the real world. Then don't go to UConn games. You know. And look, they built a pretty decent team. Jim Moore is a good coach. I mean, they built a pretty decent team this year. But don't make those stupid, vile threats that you're going to do something to coaches. What are you going to do, Jim? College football can barely. They don't have anybody that monitors all. What you are thinking. Who are you going to go to? Who are you going to cry to? Tell me, who is it? I'm dying to hear. What, the new NCAA president, former Massachusetts governor? Are you serious? Come on. These guys have they got no power. They got no power. Eventually, all the Power 4 conferences are going to break off and form their own. There's no NCAA guru guy you're going to go to and try to vent your problems to. Oh, we lost our guy to transfer portal to North Carolina or anywhere else. Please stop it. All right. Speaking of Belichick, again, from Pat McAfee's show yesterday, how about Tom Brady, which, he's going to have a say, and I think a big-time say, with creepy Mark Davis, who owns the Raiders. I'm sure Tom Brady wants to reach out to Bill Belichick and try to get him. I'm sure he wants Greg Vrabel as well. Well, here's McAfee talking about it.
Want him to become a coach for their team. We're saying this is wild that he can't get an NFL job. Turns out the arrow's telling us, a lot of people are like, hey, last year, that coaching cycle, those people messed it up. That's not on us. We are now in the market. Would you want to come? And I think it's a $1 million buyout, something like that, after June.
Yeah, after June, right? 10 before, 1 after.
Yeah, Belichick's UNC contract includes a $10 million buyout if he leaves prior to June 1st, which $10 million bucks. Bill Belichick can do that. Any NFL team can do that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. And then $1 million bucks, obviously, if he leaves prior to June 1st, 2005. And if he returns to the NFL, I think it's after June 1st, it's like $1 million bucks or something like that. So I think it becomes a very manageable contract. And I think he negotiated that way because this could potentially be an opportunity if the dream job opens up. Now, Mark Davis, Tom Telesco, would they allow Bill Belichick to come in and do his thing out there? If Tom Brady's saying, hey, this is what we're doing, I think they certainly would. How does Bill feel about it? We'll ask him next Monday. Will he give us an answer? Absolutely not.
No.
Will everybody that's recruiting the same players that Bill Belichick is recruiting use this against him? Absolutely. Just like they were doing to Nick Saban for the last 10 years of his college coaching career, where they're like, he's quitting. That guy, he's Hall of Fame. He's already GOAT, brother. Mm-hmm. You think he's going to stick around for you if you come in? You need to come to us. Nick Saban was great, but he's not going to be there for you.
No, there you have it. And Bill Belichick I believe, will be at North Carolina for at least 2 years, if not longer. His son is over there coaching with him. Bill Belichick sure as hell is not leaving North Carolina this year. No way, no how. 100% will be there coaching with his son. As you said, they got Yates Price Yates to go there from UConn, and along with 13 other guys so far in the transfer portal. So Bill Belichick wants to build a powerhouse in North Carolina, or come damn close to one, and I believe he's probably going to have a really good shot to do it. And we'll see. There's a lot of people who are pooping their pants, not only in the ACC conference, but around the country because of his ability or his reputation. And kids are going to want to go play for him. And he doesn't have to sit there and have shrimp and grits in the South to go get him either. They're coming to him. All right. Let's see. What else we got here? But Rick Horrow coming up at the bottom of the hour. I wanted to get some more NFL news. Okay. Here's some. Okay, speaking of Bill Belichick, here he is with Bill Cowher discussing the Bears' head coaching job on Sirius XM NFL Radio.
Hey, what's the most desirable job, do you think, out there, Bill Cowher? We have these openings now. Bears, Patriots, Jaguars, Saints.
I mean, I think if you look at it, certainly I think every situation is going to have a unique, different spin on it. I'll say this, it starts with the quarterback. I think the Bears have history. I think the Bears have a quarterback, might be the toughest division, but that's cyclical too. I think those things kind of work its way out. So I like an organization that's got a history to it. I like an organization that's actually got a quarterback. Again, however that dynamic works on the inside. But I think every situation is a great opportunity for a young head coach.
All right. Meanwhile, Diana Rossini on Pardon My Take talked about the same situation.
I think when the Trent Baalke news broke, you're back. Yeah,
right.
But I think Ben Johnson still has a lot of questions about management in both of those organizations, which I think is pretty well known at this point. There are questions. Ryan Poles is leading the search. Ryan Poles is not going anywhere. I think there's some Chicago people who believe he's going to get fired at some point here when the search ends. Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles are in lockstep in this search. And they 100% have their eye on Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel, for sure, as their top candidates. So, let's say in this world, and it would be, I guess, Hank's best world, Graves goes to New England. Yeah, I think Ben Johnson, the chance of him landing in Chicago are much better now that Trent Baalke is in Jacksonville, which if you're a Jags fan, it's like, oh my goodness, are you kidding?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? But I'm interested to hear what happens after these interviews, because you find out a lot about these organizations and what their plans are and how they envision themselves and what the philosophies are. And when you find out what kind of questions they've been asking.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they're after.
Meanwhile, Diana Rossini continued about Mike McCarthy and what kind of fit he'd be in Chicago if he
They're interviewing every single person that's ever coached football. And there's some names on that list that scare the out of me. So then I find myself being like, well, Mike McCarthy would be better than this guy. And then I have to take a step back and be like, wait a second, am I talking myself into Mike McCarthy? So can he just stay in Dallas so I don't have to talk myself into Mike McCarthy?
No, I think the chances of him staying in Dallas are fair. Like, I think that could happen. Look, I know that they did a little bit of work on some head coaches behind the scenes over the last few weeks. So it wouldn't shock me if they also move on. I just don't like how they're going about their business, how they're just kind of hanging him out to dry right now, trying to figure out what he's going to do next. This entire year is really hard if you're him, of, not knowing what's going to be next. Look, I think if Mike McCarthy does wind up moving on, or the Dallas Jerry says, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction, I 100% think he has a good shot at getting that Chicago Bears job.
I got to tell you, and I'm going to replay just the audio of what happened yesterday on the McAfee show. And this is all about Jerry Jones. And I'm telling you, this is like, it is just absolutely hysterical to try to listen to Jerry Jones talk about the situation with Mike McCarthy. Tell me if maybe after a day of processing what he tried to say, and all of you guys and girls out there as well, tell me if you can make out exactly what Jerry Jones is talking about.
Watching Get Up This Morning, what a wonderful program you guys have, and learned about this video from Get Up This Morning. It was Jerry Jones talking about Mike McCarthy and his contract and interviewing. I'll let Jerry talk, because we can't talk for Jerry.
Jerry, is there a reality where Mike is back with a different offensive play home?
Well, anything is possible. And because of contract status.
The guy behind him.
Most of the fans that I have most of the fans want everybody to be on the incentive plan. Everybody wants it to be on the incentive plan. And so the more you can have the incentive plan, to me, the better you've got the way sports is aligned with sports and a goal of having accomplishment. And you align that with the financial end of it. For instance, I might say, look, I'm going to pay you this much, but then I'll pay you not any more, and I know you want twice that.
Okay.
But if you get to the playoffs or you win a Super Bowl, I'll give you 5 times that.
Oh, you play 75%.
The guy across the street might
Fans
say,
are
wrapping their arms around it from behind it.
Exactly, and then you've got a decision. For sure.
How could he know that if he's not allowed to talk to you until January 14th?
Then I would say go talk.
He told Mike McCarthy to go talk.
I really would. Go talk.
So it sounds like you
I
will
just
allow
let
him to
Zeke do that.
Gotcha.
Just sign with Chargers.
I don't want anybody here. That's not healthy to have somebody around that wants to be someplace else. Really, it's not. And there's too many ways for everybody to go to be around where you don't want to be.
Of course.
So Greedy. So when Jerry's saying, it's not good to have guys around who want to, does he know that he hasn't given Mike McCarthy an extension or a contract, and he does have to give him permission to go talk? Or is he just going to hold him in limbo forever?
Oh my God!
Look,
It's Mike Greenberg now.
It's so hard to have this conversation because I don't want things to sound disrespectful. I think all of us know less about football for having listened to those 45 seconds. There's literally nothing that he just said that made any sense at all. There are so many things the fans would like, but it's just not the way the sport has ever been. Yes, there are incentives. And oh, by the way, the Cowboys actually just made sure that their backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, I did not
know that. They told me that
Yeah,
before the game. I was
of course
training.
not.
Everybody's calling me.
$250,000 incentive.
It's just unbelievable. Even the second time, it even sounds worse. Here's Ian Rappaport on NFL Network talking about Mike McCarthy's future.
Well, there's two different ways you could go about this, right? It's not a situation where he's fired. Obviously, his contract expired. If it was fired, this would be easy. He'd be moving on. The Cowboys would be moving on. Instead, he is still under contract. So the only two ways this could go are McCarthy and the Cowboys are having no conversations, obviously a sign that they are not moving forward together. Or what is actually happening, which is that they are in constant communication all the way back from yesterday, the day before, lengthy meetings today McCarthy had with Stephen and Jerry Jones, to my understanding, really trying to figure out where the organization goes from here and how they would move forward. Now, if you're not going to bring back Mike McCarthy, you wouldn't have those meetings, right? You wouldn't turn down the Bears request, which, of course, he knew they were going to turn down the request. It was more of a show of like, all right, he's got leverage. They know he's got leverage. Everyone acknowledges that. Fine, let's keep talking. It's really just a matter of can they agree on the number of years? And from my understanding, they have not gotten to the contract negotiation part of this. Can they agree on the number of years? Can they agree on the money? And can they agree just on moving forward together and what it will look like? It sounds like they want to be together, but they're just not there yet, Judy.
No, they're not. Meanwhile, as far as the Giants go, John Morrow, in case you missed this, how long will it take for the Giants to improve? This from SNY.
How long will it take to improve the product, John?
It better not take too long, Bruce, because I've just about run out of patience.
All right, yet you kept your head coach and you kept the GM. You kept Brian Daboll and GM Joe Sheen for next season. Justin Pugh talked about that.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Giants, because we know quarterback's the number one priority. I wouldn't mind them taking a double shot at it. Take the Minnesota Vikings approach. I think I disagree with how the Falcons did it. But the more I look at it is sign a reliable veteran that you know can play, and then also go take a shot in the draft, because you can't throw enough darts at the dartboard at the quarterback position. And that's where I think you have to let Brian Daboll and Joe Shane have one more year at it. I think an offensive lineman that I might have mentioned, Trey Smith, might be a good name to float out there and bring into the facility. So I think that John Mara did the right thing. He keeps the continuity. I know the voices from the outside have been loud, but I am optimistic with where they're heading and how they're building out this franchise. I didn't think it would make sense to fire one and keep the other, or vice versa. it was either they both were going to get fired or they both were going to stay. Brian Daboll has been one of the best coaches and offensive minds I've been around. So I truly believe that it was the right decision to keep him around. I hope Joe Schoen has learned from everything that happened with him and the whole Saquon Barkley debacle, and we start paying that homegrown talent, even if you may think there's someone better out there that could be a fraction better in the free agent market. Let's keep our homegrown talent in New York, the guys that we know bleed blue for the Giants.
All right. Meanwhile, speaking of Joe Schoen, the GM who's sticking him around says he knew it all along.
I know you thought otherwise when we spoke to you last time about whether you're going to come back. You were pretty certain you would be back. And did that ever waver? And what did you think when you did hear the news ultimately today?
No, that never.
I don't know if you got, like Brian said, he spoke to John specifically and he was told he was coming back today.
Yeah, no, it never wavered. Never wavered from last time we were here from my feelings there.
Okay. All right. Before we welcome Rick Horrow on board, I did mention earlier that the NHL last night on TNT, the 2026 Winter Classic is headed for Miami. Without further ado, here is Florida Panthers GM Bill Zito chatting with the fellas about the Winter Classic headed to Miami.
Bill, really appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on getting the Winter Classic down there in Florida. Listen, it's a great moment for your franchise. It's a great moment for hockey down in Florida. But how much does this mean, and what does it say about the fans of hockey in Florida that the Winter Classic is coming down your way?
Yeah, that's the answer right there. It's truly an honor, and it's an honor that the fans earned, that they've now supported our franchise and Tampa as well, right? So that as hockey grows in our area and the fans keep coming out and keep showing how much they love the sport, the kids' hockey's growing. The local TV package goes from the Keys all the way up past Palm Beach. It's just like it's exploding in South Florida, and honestly, it's really fun. It's fun to be a part of.
Hey, Colby Armstrong, I just want to ask you, we asked the players a lot about what they did with the Stanley Cup. How was their party? I know some people that you know and that you used to work with that were at your party that said it was an absolute doozy. Tell me about it.
Well, my two parties were kind of duds. I mean, I don't think they were real exciting.
I heard you had a marching band or something at your party.
Oh, yeah, we did. We have this...
Quit holding out on us.
Stone cold sober. University of Wisconsin, we've been punking each other by hiring the alumni marching band for my buddy's 40th, my dad's 60th, and then they got me on this one. It's a lot of fun. They play the fifth quarter like they do after the football games. But the funnest one was for our strength coach, Chris McClellan. He didn't really have anyone. He's from Australia. So we all got together and took him fishing, and one of the cup guys, I think it was Mario, put the mahi in the cup and said, take a pictures. And I said, I didn't catch the fish. But to have any time with it was tons of fun.
Oh, it's amazing. Bill, it's ace. You're the AGM with Team USA Four Nations Cup coming up with Billy Guerin. Is there any additional pressure now on the Americans after watching that World Junior team win their second gold medal back-to-back?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably even going to get ramped up as we get closer. It's my first time at this level, having done the World Championships. You're kind of away from things, but now it's right there in the spotlight. So I have a lot to learn, but I'm really looking forward to that part of it, and I think we'll be ready.
All right, there's Bill Zito, the general manager of the Florida Panthers, talking about the Winter Classic headed to Miami in 2026. We'll have more of that with Rick Horrow coming up in just a little bit here on the Pete Sheppard Show. All right, a couple more interesting videos, or eventually I can't play the videos today, like I said, but can play the audio again. We previewed a lot of Notre Dame and Penn State coming up tonight in Miami at the Orange Bowl. And yesterday on First Take, Stephen A., along with Finey and Mad Dog Russo, talked about, they had their thoughts on the two semifinal games, Penn State, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State.
We know these are two stout defenses, especially in the case of Penn State, got a top 10 scoring defense. We know they're elite in the red zone. We looking at Notre Dame and we're wondering whether or not they're going to be able to throw the football. We know they can run the football, Riley Leonard. Can you throw the football? Are you going to be able to pull that off? We got those questions about it. But to me, the word intrigue is what makes the answer to this question easy because I don't know who's going to win. In Ohio State, Texas, Paul, I'm sitting here right now, my brother, and I'm telling you right now, I'm praying we don't see a blowout. I'm praying we don't see Texas get their ass kicked. That's what I'm praying for because I don't like what I saw against them. I don't like what I saw. I watched that game against Arizona State, and I understand this kid, Sheppard, is something special. Make no mistake, he's a man amongst boys, but damn, he's still one dude. And he was running roughshod all over the place, all over the Texas Longhorns. And I'm looking at them, and where did your offense go? You're up 24-8, and then all of a sudden you crumble. And by the way, that should have been a targeting penalty. Was it Taffy? I think that's his name. I think
it was
him.
Yes,
that's right. That was a targeting penalty that should have been called, Paul. If that is called, Arizona kicks the field goal. They win the game. They're in the Final Four. Right. I mean, of course, they could have missed it. But I'm saying they're significantly closer, and their chances of making a field goal to win the game would have been elevated significantly. So I'm looking at that, and then I'm looking at the number one team in the nation, Oregon, showing up to the Rose Bowl and getting annihilated. I mean, I don't know if Dan Lanning and those boys could show their face to Phil Knight and those guys. I don't know if they could do it because it's just that bad. It was that bad of a beatdown. It's one thing to lose, but to get beat down like they got beat down was very, very embarrassing. And what happens? You got Henderson, you got Igbuka, and of course Jeremiah Smith, this stud. The weapons that they have. If Texas had a problem against one dude, what you gonna do against 3, 4, 5 of them? That's how I'm looking at this game, and that's why I say the answer to this question is with Doggy, Notre Dame versus Penn State.
Yeah, I'm going with, as far as the more intriguing game, yeah, possibly. But, I've just learned over the years that you don't know. You don't know. Now, Ohio State being a 5.5 or 6 point favorite already in Jerry's world where it's going to be snowing and 4 inches of snow, and they're worried about it over there because they don't get a lot of snow. That speaks volumes to me that Vegas has them as a 5.5 or 6 point favorite over Texas in their home state. That just tells you how well Ohio State is. And I agree. I think I've said it since the Tennessee game. I thought they played and looked the best out of everybody. And it looks like they're going to, they have a great shot to win the national championship. Nothing is etched in stone. Worst thing and the best thing that happened to them was getting embarrassed at home by Michigan 13-10, a few weeks ago. Worst thing that ever happened to them. All right, let me see. What else do I have? What else do I have? What else can I play for you? Okay, let me see. I'll wait for Rick Horrow to join the program. And hopefully he does not need, he got the link last night. Hopefully he doesn't need another one because Angel's not here. And I don't have the link. I'm not link accessible as far as that goes. So hopefully Rick will be joining us in a couple of minutes. What else did I have to play for you? Some good audio. Okay. Adam Schefter yesterday was on a podcast, and former Alabama OC and current Boston College coach Bill O'Brien spelled out what stood about his former running back, Jahmyr Gibbs.
And you mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. Did you know he was going to be this good?
Jahmyr Gibbs, my second year, he transferred from Georgia Tech to Alabama my second year. Robert Gillespie, who was our running back coach at Alabama, was an awesome coach. He had a connection with him from when he had recruited him at North Carolina, I think. And so anyways, he transferred. And, besides Bryce Young, my second year, I would say that Jahmyr Gibbs, outside of Bryce Young, was the best player on the offense. We tried to get him the ball all the time. I mean, I think at one point he was leading our team in receptions and rush yards. So, I had a very good idea.
All right, we'll stop it there. There's Boston College head coach Billy O'Brien with Adam Schefter talking about Jahmyr Gibbs. And I don't know if that's the Emperor from Star Wars, a.k.a. Senator Palpatine. We just lost you, Rick. So come back in. But Rick Horrow, sports business guru, joining us. It's off to such a good start. He had the Emperor thing going, the Bill Belichick hoodie, whatever it is. I know he's in Miami. It's cold. It's cold here for us. It's 41 degrees right now. The temperature has dropped another degree. It's not supposed to get to higher than the 50s today. Otis, there he is, the Emperor, the Emperor, or Bill Belichick, or maybe some say both. You went again. You're gone again, Bill. You're gone again, Rick. My man Otis says he's got the link lip. What's your take on Otis? Otis, the outdoor hockey game coming in 2026. No, that's what I'm going to get into right now with Rick Horrow, as long as he can make it. Gary Bettman told ESPN that the Winter Classic will feature the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers on January 2nd at Lone Depot Park, which is home of the Miami Marlins. He also said next season's Stadium Series game will be played between Tampa and Bruins on February 1st at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I think it's going to be very, very interesting as how they keep the ice from not melting, unless it's on a day like this, in the middle of the day or whatever, where it's one of these chilly, chilly days. And hopefully Rick Horrow can get back to us and join us online. He was there twice already. He's been there twice already. And hopefully he will rejoin us. So Bettman said, we've done 42 games all over North America. We haven't had one in Florida, and our teams have been there for 3 decades. It's a golden age of hockey in Florida when you look at fan engagement, when you look at big events like All-Star games, when you look at Stanley Cups between the Lightning and the Panthers, and when you look at the growth of hockey at all levels of the game. Yes, absolutely.
Stay with me, man. Hey, stay with me.
You're gone again. I don't know. I don't know what it is. You unhooded yourself. That didn't work, but hopefully eventually we will connect with Rick. And I can't do it by phone today either because Angel is not here. He is on assignment today and tomorrow. Again, this will be the first time the Panthers participate in an outdoor game in the Lightning's second appearance, 2022 Stadium Series versus the Predators in Nashville. With the Columbus Blue Jackets playing in this year's Stadium Series game, it leaves the Utah Hockey Club as the only NHL team that has neither played nor is scheduled to play in the outdoor game, the former Arizona Coyotes. The NHL held an outdoor game at Caesars Palace back in '91, but unconventional venues became more frequent with the introduction of the Stadium Series in 2014. Dodger Stadium in L.A., Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, and the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Carter Finley Stadium at North Carolina State hosting games. NHL President of Content and Events, Steve Mayer, said Lone Depot Park is like T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners, where the NHL held the 2024 Winter Classic. Mayer said both stadiums have a roof that can cover the playing surface. It helps with building under control conditions. The idea would be to open the roof before the game for a dramatic entrance. Well, that's going to be very interesting to see how they get that done. As I said, it'll be Florida and the Rangers January 2nd at Lone Depot Park, home of the Major League Baseball's Miami Marlins, and then Tampa Bay and the Bruins February 1st at Ray J, home of the Buccaneers. That'll be something. I think both games will be sold out. It'll be the biggest crowd that the Miami Marlins have had in a long time, the Florida Marlins, and it won't be for the Florida Marlins. It'll be for the Panthers and the New York Rangers. Here comes the text. Let's see. Okay. I believe. Oh. Yeah, Angel, keep fading, but I do get connection. I have complete internet. Can we do this by phone? We can't do it by phone, unfortunately. I cannot do it by phone today, Rick. I cannot do it by phone because the Angel is not here. He is not on Tampa today. He is on assignment away from the office, and the only way I can do it that I know of is through this. Rick Horrow, there he is. I'll try this again. Good morning.
I'm screwing you up. I keep fading. I don't know what it is. I'm fine. I'm cold.
Don't touch anything. Right now you're good. Whatever it is, stay still. You can move your mouth. That's fine. You're looking happy and handsome in the Emperor's uniform today, too. Yes. It's 41 degrees here. What? Fuck. There he goes again. Now I just lost the picture. There he is. Now he's back. But frozen. There you are, Rick. Can you hear me? Rick, can you hear me? I see you, and I can hear you. Can you hear me? Evanston. I can still hear Rick. Now I can't. Now he's gone. He's faded into the abyss. Has faded into the abyss. There's so much I want to talk to him about. Not only this, the Winter Classic going on. I want to talk to him about what was going on in Tampa Bay with the stadium and a lot of other things and TGL Golf. Lots to talk about. I wanted to see if he was going to the game tonight at Hard Rock between Penn State and Notre Dame. And he's hopefully back with us again. Rick Horrow, good morning.
Good morning. Let me tell you something. I don't really particularly care if this.
Just fades. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. We'll continue to try. We'll continue to try here on the Pete Sheppard Show. And I'm looking at Sunset Fire erupting in the Hollywood Hills as the Pacific Palisades, and it continues to burn. I'm looking at firefighters on the ground and in the air who've been working around the clock to try to put these blazes out. Unbelievable. Again, the Florida Panthers will host the NHL Winter Classic at Lone Depot Park in Miami. And I don't watch Marlins game. Is there a roof there? I can't remember. Okay, go ahead, Rick. Quick.
There. Does this count? Does this count as an official appearance if I'm only on like 7 seconds at a time? A pro rata amount? Oh, I don't have to worry about that. I get that. All right.
Well, let's get right into it again before you fade.
All right.
Before you fade, there's so much to talk about. No, God bless it. Oh, good Lord. All right. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the Pete Sheppard Show, and continued patience and following me on the video platform on Twitter, X at PeteShep326, across a bunch of Facebook platforms on the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page, my Facebook page, Tampa Joe's Facebook page, on CSN Florida, Rumble, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, and, of course, the app at SR1029 The Game, SR1029TheGame.com. We'll try again with Rick Horrow. Although this is going to be it. If it doesn't happen, then we'll just have to maybe postpone it until tomorrow. What else is out there? What else is out there that I can play for you as Rick Horrow tries to reconnect with this show? Okay, here is interesting. This is Scott Pioli. What sets the Lions apart from the rest of the NFL?
Peter, I think what sets them apart from a lot of other organizations is the system that they have in place in terms of player acquisition and real-time player development. There's a marriage between the front office and the coaching staff that is really strong. Both sides understand that they need to serve one another. They are servant leaders. So when I look at this organization, everyone knows I've talked a lot about Sheila Ford-Hamp, about Dan Campbell. I think they're both fantastic, very deserving. Now we're hearing everyone talk about their assistant coaches and Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. But the person we don't hear nearly enough about is my guy, Brad Holmes. Brad and his staff have done an absolutely incredible job. This is a game of attrition. These long seasons, and what we've watched happen with the Lions this year, they actually have 8 current starters that are out. They've had starters miss 109 starts in terms of games started. And that is very different as we see the other teams on this list right now. A lot of those other teams, no one else is in the playoffs. And I know this, and I know how hard it is because I lived this. Our Patriots team in 2003 started 42 different starters during that season, which was an NFL record for a division winner, until we broke that record again in 2005 when we had 45 different players having to start. We got knocked out of the divisional round. And I think part of what this is, injuries are not an excuse, but it is a reality in the National Football League, something that you have to pay attention to. And I think that Brad Holmes surely should be in the running, if not the NFL Executive of the Year. He's done a great job. Eric DeCosta has, Adam Peters, the Minnesota Vikings, Kwesi and Ryan Grigson together have done an incredible job. But that's what sets this Lions team apart, in my opinion.
All right, there it is, Scott Pioli. Well, I guess we're going to have to scrap the Rick Horrow situation today because it sucks because he just did another podcast with somebody else and came fine. I don't know why. The signal was fading in and out, but I apologize, Rick. I can't, like I said, I would have done it by phone, but I can't. I don't have that capability today with Angel not in the studio. So anyway, Rick, we will definitely talk next week, but there was so much to discuss with him, the Winter Classic being one, what happened with Tampa Bay. We'll do it again. There'll be plenty of time. We'll do it again next week. John Mita Perrell will hopefully join me at the top of the hour at 9:05 this morning, and we'll talk all things college football playoff with him and what's going on with the Patriots as well. Mike Vrabel expected interview with the Patriots today, and they better not let him out of the room. They better not let him out of the room. All right, let's look at some of this look ahead to the NFL playoff. Chargers in Houston coming up. Actually, you know what? Before that, let me do an NBA and NHL rundown. Really great game last night between two of the best teams in the league. Record-wise, they are two of the best teams. They are the two best teams in the league. Cleveland got by OKC. Great game, 129-122. Here's Darius Garland's dagger, courtesy of ESPN.
Wallace very aggressive on Garland, who's holding it. Garland pulls back, 7 on the 24. Garland the drive, it's up, it's good! Timeout, OKC, it's a 7-point lead.
Yeah, Cleveland goes on to win 129-122. Of course, the Celtics lost to OKC the other day after blowing a 14-point lead. And I don't know what the hell happened. They scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. It was a fluke. But clearly, Cleveland and OKC are two, and the Celtics, I think, are the three best teams in the NBA. Celtics had shot 9 of 46 the other night, but not against Denver. That was a great win they had the other night, even though Jokic didn't play. Derek White didn't play for the Celtics. Good win for the Celtics the other night in Denver. They will host Sacramento tomorrow night. Elsewhere around the NBA, Indiana over Chicago, 129-113. In that one, Philadelphia beat Washington 109-103. Maxey scored late in that one. To put on, I think he had 31 points. Knicks over Toronto, 112-98. Detroit over Brooklyn, 113-98. Portland beat New Orleans, 119-100. Denver over the Clippers, 126-123. Here's one highlight from that one.
Jamal Murray. All right, let's go over to Scott Hastings.
Hey, Chris, you were just talking about how tight it is and how important wins are right now. Between fourth, where the Nuggets are at 20 and 15, and that's how he puts some points on right there.
Is much better than they have been previously.
Yeah, this is what happens when you talk during the game. Altitude TV, that was Russell Westbrook feeding DeAndre Jordan. Milwaukee over San Antonio, 121-105. Does anybody else get aggravated too? It used to be just Orlando, and that's in that building, it's just nonstop noise. I thought there was an NBA rule that they had to stop it at half court, but man, it is bad all over the league. I can't stand it. They can't. Defense. And you got music playing through the whole thing. I don't know how guys can even hear. How do you call out screens and switches and all that stuff with all that noise going on? I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Stupid. Dumb. I don't like it. All right, in the NHL last night as well, you had Colorado losing to Chicago. Here's Connor Bedard. Quick wrist shot. Gives the Blackhawks 2-goal lead.
Here's a great pass that sends him Bedard. Scores! Connor Bedard gives the Hawks a 2-goal lead here in the third.
Now that's a heck of a shot right there. Just slightly over the pad and under the glove. And quite often, Connor goes high to the glove side. And earlier this year, there were a lot of misses high and over the bar, or the goaltenders read it. This is a great change in identifying where the goalie's glove is, how he's coming up. He gets it in speed, lets it settle down there, and you can imagine being a goaltender by the time he settles.
All right, thanks there to TNT last night, NHL on TNT. Washington and Vancouver had a thriller last night until Pierre-Luc Dubois ended it.
And here comes Protas. Miller back. Protas round the net. Miller lost his stick. Puck is centered. Dubois digs. He scores.
Thanks to Sportsnet for that one. Florida beat Utah easily 4-1. And as we said earlier in the program, Calgary at Los Angeles was postponed. Kings postponed that game because of the awful situation with the fires going on out there in that area, in Los Angeles, Inglewood area. Top 25 college hoops last night. What a game. Villanova over UConn, 68-66. They hung on. They had a big lead in that one. UConn came storming back, but the Wildcats, big East win over number 9 UConn, 68-66. That's the Huskies' first loss since they got back from Hawaii, where they had lost 3. They've been playing some great basketball, but it's the Big East, so you never know on any given night. My beloved Friars finally got back on track after losing 4 in a row, beating Butler last night, so they're back up to 8-8. And I think 2-2 in the Big East. So anyway, John Meade-Perrell is going to join us coming up in just a little bit. Getting back to the NFL and some of the let's get some preview sound going for some of the playoff games this week. And again, I can't stress enough, do not let Mike Vrabel out of the building. Do not let Mike Vrabel out of the building. Playoff games this week, though, starting on Saturday at 4:30. The Chargers are at Houston. Houston QB C.J. Stroud on the Chargers D.
Yeah, Derwin, jumps off on film. I think he's having almost his best year of his career, rushing the quarterback, playing in nickel, safety, doing great in coverage, So, yeah, he's definitely, I feel like one of the best players on the team, along with Bosa and Khalil Mack. And then, Deion, who's one of my friends, is playing really well as well. And then they have a good back end, but their D-line as well is really good. So, all around, they're really good. So, but that's what the playoffs are, is, their best versus our best, and got to do our best to, handle what they're going to do and play hard and, try to execute every play as best as we can.
All right, more from C.J. Stroud on the Texans being doubted.
Yeah, noise is always going to be there. It's always, it's part of sports, always evident in the sport. And they said the same thing about us last year, so playing the Browns. And I'm not saying this last year, but, we went out there and we did what we had to do to win. And that's ultimately what the playoffs come down to, is like, it's 14 teams now, and, the microscope is on you. We're the first team to kick it off with the Chargers, and, so everybody has their own opinions, which they're entitled to have those things. So, I really don't mind. It's part of it. Guys are smart. They probably can see film and see that, whatever they want to see. So, and for us, we know we have faith in what we can do, and know that we're motivated to play. I kind of like being underdog. I've been underdog a lot of my life in my career, so it's actually comfortable for me. So, but yeah, I don't really think too much about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the Chargers are favored by 3 in that one. Slight underdog. Houston is at home. Meanwhile, Houston GM Nick Caserio, very high praise for Charger quarterback Justin Herbert.
He won't win the MVP, but honestly, you can make a cogent argument for why he should. You're talking about a guy who's big, who's strong, who's more athletic than people think he is, that can make plays with his legs. His attempted, 500 passes, whatever it's been, 3 interceptions. Do that math. I'm not good at it, but that's a pretty good ratio.
It's the second fewest ever behind Aaron Rodgers in that freakish season that he had.
And can get the ball basically wherever he wants to go. Some of the throws that he's made into tight quarters, I want to say I was watching the other Kansas City. They had Ladd McConkey doubled in a red area. They kind of had a double call in and out call. You couldn't see Ladd, but he threw the ball to a spot where Ladd can make the play, and it's a touchdown. Whoever is talking about Justin Herbert, I would tell them, go watch the film. This guy's played as good a football as any quarterback in the league, who's smart. He's tough as hell. He plays hurt. He makes throws with players draped all over him. So, this guy is a damn good football player who probably doesn't get as much credit and respect as he deserves.
Damn good football player. Damn good. All right, Philadelphia Eagles, the big story all week long was about Jalen Hurts and he'd be ready to go. He was at practice yesterday. A little while ago on Get Up, Adam Schefter with the latest on Jalen Hurts returning to practice.
Jalen Hurts returned to the practice field yesterday, which is a sign that he will be back on the field Sunday to play, barring some unexpected setback. He's been in concussion protocol. He remains in concussion protocol, but he is expected to start on Sunday. And so both teams have some health questions around their quarterback, how they'll respond to what they've been through in recent weeks. But Jalen Hurts, barring the unexpected, is expected to start for the Eagles.
That's the development I was talking about in the open, which is there's a 5-step program that one must go through to come out of the concussion protocol. And if at any point there is a setback, you have to go all the way back to step 1. We needed to see him on the practice field. We saw it yesterday, Shefty, assuming he wakes up this morning, has awoken this morning, without any setback, without feeling any concussion symptoms. That should put him in line to be the starting quarterback on Sunday, which has been the big question all along.
Yeah, and I expect him to be back. It would be surprising right now if he didn't make it back and Kenny Pickett were starting that wild card.
All right. Yes, absolutely. And all right. Meanwhile, more from that game. Here's head coach for the Eagles, Nick Sirianni. I'm preparing to face the Packers.
With the postseason here, you can have padded practices again. Are you back in pads, and will Wednesday's practices be different than they were in December?
It all depends on the last game. Today we'll be in pads, but it all depends. For me to say right now, hey, through the playoffs we'll always be in pads. You just don't know how each individual game goes. And so you play that based off the circumstances, everything like that. But today we'll be in pads to play. I think that's really important. We're going to play a very physical team against the Packers. I can't tell you enough how much I think how well coached they are and how good their players are. They got a lot of respect for this team. You can tell on the film how much they talk about fundamentals. You can tell on the film how much effort they give, and that's a direct reflection of their coaching staff and their players.
All right. Meanwhile, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur on how they're going to stop Saquon Barkley.
So just in general, how do you feel about where you're at defending the run right now?
Well, I think for the most part, we've done a pretty solid job this season, but I also know what type of opponent we're playing in Philly. Their offensive line, obviously Saquon, he's been pretty productive. So if you give them a lane to run through, it's one of those. He's the type of back where maybe some backs might get 10, 12 yards. He might go 80 yards. So everything is so important in terms of just playing sound football, setting edges, using your hands, defeating blocks. Everything matters. And then you got to have a great tackling plan for him as well, because he's capable certainly of running through tackles or making him miss. And he's just a heck of a player.
All right. There you have it. Right. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, John Meade-Perrell will join me, voice of the BC football team, plus the ACC network. You hear him call college hoops. We'll get into more of the semifinal game tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State coming up at 7:30, and tomorrow's game in Dallas at Jerry's World between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Texas Longhorns. We'll get his thoughts on that. NFL playoffs. And, of course, assisting in keeping Mike Vrabel in the building in Foxborough today. Cannot let that man out until he becomes the next head coach of the Patriots. Let's get it done. It's the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Thursday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Getting an interview is a big deal for a head coaching job.
Yeah.
But it has been assumed for almost a couple weeks now that if Gerard Mayo gets fired, Mike Vrabel's going to be the head coach.
It's assumed, and it better happen. That's all I can say. Do not let that man out of the building, Pat McAfee. Keep saying it over and over again, and I believe a deal is going to get done sooner rather than later. I hope that they get it done today. Don't let that man out of the building. Welcome back. It's hour number 3 of the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform today. Angel is off today and tomorrow, so I apologize for not being able to play a lot of the videos that we'd like to play, but certainly got plenty of audio. John Meter-Perrell going to join me in just a little bit from the voice of the BC football team and also the ACC network as well. Following me at pshep326 on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, across a plethora of video platforms on Facebook, including our Coastal Sports Network Facebook page, my Facebook page, Tampa Joe's, and a lot of others. Most of the hosts on this show, you can follow all the shows. And you can follow all the shows on my Facebook page and my Twitter page as well. Check us out on CSN Florida, Rumble, YouTube, obviously, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch. And the great app that we have, SR1029 The Game, and that's R1029thegame.com. So is everybody excited about the semifinals tonight, Notre Dame and Penn State? I think it's going to be a good one. A little chilly tonight in Miami. Be a little chilly. Still chilly here. It's still right now. It just got up to 46 degrees. So we've gone up about 5 degrees today. Quite chilly for this time of year. About 5-6 degrees total. I mean, we get in the 50s down here in January and December time. Today's high is like 61 degrees. I'm not sure it's going to even reach that. But look, for a few weeks out of the year, when the highs only get in the 60s, I'm not complaining. I just think, you buy. It does feel, once being here almost 8 years now, you just feel you get adapted to the weather, which is usually between 75 and 85 degrees, about 80-90% of the time down here. I can't remember the last time it rained here in Fort Myers. Can't remember the last time. Going on a couple of months. They actually have controlled burns here, so what's happening in California does not happen here, and it's just awful what's going on over there. And we'll keep you posted. They're thinking about moving the game to Arizona between the Vikings and the Chargers, if hopefully things will be cleared up by the time the game comes around on Monday night, which is on Prime. But we'll see what happens. All right. And look at that. Joining us right now. See, Rick Horrow couldn't join, but John Meter-Perrell has joined us, the voice of BC football and the ACC network, and a clean connection, something Rick Horrow could not achieve, but John Meter-Perrell has. Good morning, Meter. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Pedro. Just fine in this 18-degree weather with vicious winds. So it's called Do Not Go Outside.
Well, it feels that way here with the 46-degree temperatures right now, but 46 is not 18. So, like I said, I'm not really complaining, but it is a little difficult when it's usually 75 to 80 most of the days, and down here now it's in the 40s. But it happens that way down here a few weeks out of the year. But you enjoy that 18-degree temperature. And why are you not down at Gillette, ushering Mike Vrabel into the building and blocking any entrance for him to get out? Why are you not doing that? I thought you'd be more organized.
Oh, no. I am just sitting shiva here, Pete, for Gerard Mayo and the hand he was dealt. And of course I kid because I love. Yep. For those of you that read the Athletic piece yesterday by Chad Graff, that was just stunning in its enlightening information about, pretty much a lot of things we knew about how overwhelmed he was by the job. But I know, you had a down moment after you had a tough show on the big show back on WEI. You would just
play cards in the office.
Go play cards.
No, we did not.
Go sit in the office, have some whiskey, go play cards, smoke a couple cigars, and
the only tough times ever on the big show was Glenn not breaking on time at the final break, and then the wire line would end at 6:20. They were supposed to.
They're ripping off the wire line again.
Who is?
You know that, right?
No, I don't. Who's doing it? EI is?
Yeah, Greg Hill, the morning show, is doing a version of the wire line, just like we did back in the day.
I'm doing my own. I don't. They're doing a wire line on the Greg Hill show in the morning.
Yes. You guys should have got. You should be getting royalties from that.
They're actually calling it that?
I don't think it's called the water line. We called it the chump line back in the day on Dennis and Callahan.
Yeah,
we started that. We ripped it. It was a clear rip-off.
Oh, yeah, but you admitted it, so it was okay.
Yes, of course. It wasn't as good as your water line, but that's all right.
I remember one day, it was kind of childish. Because the shows would get into little riffs every now and then. Oh, it was stupid. I can't even remember. Stupid, idiotic shit. But I proposed, I think you and I talked about it. We wanted to switch roles on April Fool's Day one. I think it was a Monday or Tuesday. We said, I'll go on Dennis Callahan, you go on with Glenn. And they wanted none of it. I was like, Jesus, what is so god-awful? I mean, come on.
That's just, it's so
it was stupid. It was egotistic.
That would have been perfect.
It would have been. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we would have had a lot of fun, a lot of material. Who cares? It's one day.
Anyway.
I just wanted to get up at 9:30.
It was great because I used to get to the station around 12. I mean, I lived in the city. It was great because I was only 8-9 minutes away. When I lived in the North End, I would leave at 11:30, get there by 11:45, and
I used to see you walk in. I remember. I was out to, I was gone to the stockyard, and you were coming into work.
And then the stockyard would deliver food to us. It was even better.
Of course, yes. It's even better now, by the way. When you come back to Boston, check out the stockyard. Mike Conlon, the owner,
nice,
good personal friend of the show, as you would say.
Good. Yes. Well, I never had a bad meal there. I know they went through some renovations. Dan Duquette's former hangout. Used to go there every night.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did with the Manning family.
Yes, he did. All right, real quick. It was interesting. I heard Billy O'Brien on with Adam Schefter on his podcast, and I haven't heard your podcast yet. I know you just released another one. But talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, interesting stuff. And I'm sure you heard it, but your thoughts on that situation, what he's meant to the Lions. I mean, you know all about him.
Yeah, no, actually, I have not listened to Schefter's podcast, but I did hear some clips, including the one where Bill talks about the NFL, and which he addresses on our podcast as well. So what I can tell you about Jahmyr Gibbs is, though, I left the BC Georgia Tech game probably 4 years ago saying that kid's going to be a star in the NFL. I didn't know he was going to Alabama. I just figured he might just stay at Georgia Tech. But he had such unbelievable moves. It was like watching a video game. He single-handedly almost beat BC. BC ended up winning that game at Georgia Tech. But you could tell every time he touched the ball, he was a threat to score, and he pretty much did. So, the fact that Bill got him for a year and, saw up close and personal. He talks all the time about Bryce Young and how he said people just need to be patient. He really thinks he could be a good NFL quarterback. And now that looks like it's going to be the case. And, he just didn't pop. He needed time. And a lot of people they're so impatient, Pete. You know this better than anybody. You and I have seen it. You saw it with, go back to Indianapolis with Peyton Manning's first year. He wasn't a Hall of Famer in year one or year two.
He didn't get there. He was a 500 quarterback till year 4. They didn't make the playoffs till year 4. I mean, he was awful. Had led the
right. So it's just this. We're part of it. It's just he's a bust. He's a bust. He's a bust. Because he doesn't play well for 8 weeks. Okay, talk to me in 3 years.
Yeah, and then you get the Sam Darnold situations where, you're not seeing ghosts anymore with the Jets, and you get to a guy like Kevin O'Connell who knows how to coach offense, and he looks like if he's not comeback player of the year, I don't know who is. But certainly, I mean, he has been absolutely phenomenal, so much so that they're going to have to look at dealing J.J. McCarthy. Sign Sam Darnold and deal J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably your next step. And you're right. It's all about comfort level. It's all about surrounding the guy with the right pieces.
Yeah.
Brady, we saw Brady look, he was obviously good that first year, but he wasn't great. I mean, he did enough, obviously, for them to win. He just emerged. So it's all, and he never really got the right pieces. That was his greatness. He really didn't have it up until Randy Moss. And after Randy Moss, he just had a little bit better than average receivers. Obviously, Edelman was great, but
Deion Branch before that.
They were better than they have now.
Yeah,
they weren't Pro Bowlers every year outside of Gronk and Edelman, I guess. But
do you have any doubt that Mike Vrabel's not getting out of that building today without a contract, even if they can't officially? I think they've gone through all the Rooney Rule obligations, so they can make an announcement today, I believe, if they get this done. Don't you think?
First of all, the Rooney Rule, that was...
What's a fraud?
What they did, that was a sham.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to go all Albert Breer on you, and he was very outspoken about this, but it's a sham. I mean, please.
Totally. Oh, I totally get it, but I'm saying they still have to go through the motions of emotion as every NFL team does. with
Yeah,
this fakeness.
Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton.
Yeah, I
haven't
mean,
been in the league in 2 years.
I understand that, and I totally agree with you. I'm just saying they've gotten through their quote unquote obligations, so the NFL
Right.
doesn't come
Yes.
down
Yes.
hard like everybody else is going to do. And I'm not saying the Rooney Rule shouldn't be there. I think it should, but there's no parameter. There's no except for you have to interview a certain amount of candidates. It's a joke. We all know it's an absolute sham.
Yeah,
And I don't know what you do to tighten it up besides. And what, you're going to Jedi mind trick somebody? Unless anybody can read minds into some of these owners, I mean, they're going to go with who they feel comfortable with, right or wrong. That's the way it's going to be. I think somebody pointed out yesterday, it's who you feel comfortable having a beer with. I think J.J. Watt said that, something like that.
Yeah, no, it's a good line. I think, yeah, clearly Vrabel's been the number one choice for a while, which you asked the question, okay, why didn't you hire him last year? Or at least to interview him last year.
Yeah.
That was just mind-numbing to me, the fact that they hired Mayo without talking to anybody. So, but that's another thing, too, that leads you to think, well, wait a minute, why? It's okay to take your time a little bit. You could still talk to Ben Johnson. You could do what the Chargers did last year. They knew they wanted Harbaugh, but they still interviewed 8 or 9 people. So I guess it's just their hesitancy to if Vrabel gets offered the Jets job or the Bears job and takes that job, then they're going to say, oh, we lost out on Vrabel. But that's probably what they're thinking.
Well, the Mayo situation was unique because he had been put in place for 3 years. That's the problem. And Kraft should have never been so sentimental about that stuff. I mean, he just, as we know, we don't have to go through everything again. He clearly was not ready. And as you said, the great piece out in The Athletic, he's not watching film like Brady and Belichick were doing on the way back on the plane. He's sitting there playing cards, the way he treated Steve Belichick, demoting him, who was probably one of the bright spots calling plays the last 3 years. And he left and then went to shit, even though, they lost Barnmore and a couple of guys, and I get that. But there was never accountability, and there were never adjustments on either side of the ball.
No, they just regressed so badly everywhere. It was the fact that they won was laughable on Sunday. I'm sure you were screaming at the television.
Well, Buffalo also tried to lose, and I don't blame them. If the Patriots were in that situation, I would have done the same thing. You don't want the team in your division to get the number one pick. But they even mentioned it. What's your name on the sideline? I thought it was Doug. She's like, I'm not sure the Buffalo Bills are trying to win this game. You don't hear that a lot.
Aditi Kinkabaloa. Yeah, no, I think it was crazy what that game was. That was one of the craziest games they've ever played. I think Vrabel is going to be the guy. You and I have talked about, I like offensive coaches. You like offensive coaches. Yeah. That's where the league is. This just in. So, but from a culture fit and from a guy who obviously knows this market and knows, can be the quote grown up in the room, which is what they've been lacking the last couple of years. I think he's going to be the turnkey coach.
Then it's a question of, is obviously going to bring in his home staff. But again, it's going to be that symmetry because, Wolf looks like he's going to be staying on. I saw your piece about Mike Borgonzi coming over from Kansas City. I would love to see that happen, by the way. That would be fantastic. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Now it's just a question of Vrabel's going to come in here and, maybe they have a de facto GM again, or Elliot Wolf.
No, Wolf's gone.
You think he's going? Why isn't he gone already then?
Because they need somebody to stabilize the operation. They need someone to go to the Senior Bowl. They need someone. All the scouting that he's done with his department. Vrabel's going to come in, or Ben Johnson's going to come in and say, "All right, give me all your notes. Thanks very much. We'll see you later. You're not welcome here anymore." So I think. Not to be harsh, but that's the way it's going to work. It happens all the time where coaches come in and they demand a GM. In Vrabel's case, it's probably going to be Ryan Cowden, guy he worked with in Tennessee. I hope it's Borgonzi and he has a relationship with Borgonzi. Maybe he brings Borgonzi in to run the personnel department because Borgonzi's from Everett and Brown and worked at BC and great guy. And has worked really hard in the last 20 years to work his way up. So,
but you're 100% confident. In your opinion, that you think that Elliot Wolf is gone?
Yes. I'm not buying anything what Kraft said the other day. I think he'll probably be here through the draft, and maybe I don't know. Maybe he sells Vrabel on the fact that he can work in that personnel department and have somewhat of a voice. Maybe Vrabel buys that. I don't know. He's not going to be the GM. But they haven't had a GM for years.
How can he be there during the draft, though? I don't want his input during the draft.
I don't
Or if
either.
it is, maybe a very small input. If he's going to be demoted, and the Patriots will come up with some title if they demote him. I mean, I hope
Who do
you're
you
right.
think? Who do you think did the interviews with Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich? That would be Elliot Wolf, because the Crafts didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's where his door is open now, is the fact that they're giving him all the grungy work that no one wants to deal with, and therefore they'll have some structure in place when a new coach comes in.
Well, I'm going to go down to Dunkies or Starbucks and get Vrabel a coffee today, whatever he wants. Just do not let him out of the building.
Yeah, no, I think life's a bagel right down the road on Route 1.
There's one New York bagel shop in Bonita Springs. It's very good.
The one in Bonita Springs. Do they have a schmear? Do they have a Lux and a schmear?
Yes, they do. They absolutely do.
They do. All right.
You got to have it. You got to have
Next
a
time I
schmear.
go. By the way, Pete, we're planning a trip to spring training, so I hope your door's still open.
Oh, you're going to be. So this year Red Sox are going to pay you to come down.
Me and young Ben Mita Perel, so who's not so young anymore.
What about you working? Going to be working any of the games?
We're working on that. Nothing to
Okay.
announce officially, but hopefully your shower will be on.
That is never going to happen again. It's 3 years ago, I think. Well, first of all, that whole visit that you had, you got fucked over in Fort Lauderdale on the plane. Something happened. They didn't
in Orlando.
You Ubered from Fort Lauderdale to my house in Bonita Springs. From Orlando to Bonita National cost you $8,000. No, whatever.
Yes.
I mean, it was some ridiculous amount of money.
My bank account was compromised.
That's right.
I went to Disney World for a week, and God knows what happens there. So with my kids, and then I had to Uber to you, and you said, "Why don't you just call me? I would have picked you up in Winter Haven." Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Pete.
I would have met you halfway at least. I wasn't going to drive to Orlando, but I would have met you, somewhat close. Nope, you Ubered all the way. How much was that? $346?
Oh, it was staggering how much that was. It was so much that you had to buy me a few drinks when I got to your house.
I know, which is rare. You don't drink a lot.
No,
yeah.
I do not. But that day I had a few pina coladas.
You did, and you did take an hour and a half shower one time. It was absolutely brutal.
Yes, you could have just stormed in and said, had it like an Attica
storming in like Kramer does with Jerry and
Yes.
Seinfeld. No, I don't want to live like this.
But your lovely wife did leave candy on the pillow, which was outstanding.
Yeah, Lady Elaine always does that stuff. No, you come over, you treat her like a king. No, you're more than you and Ben are more than welcome to come over. Just not, I'm going to be like the Nick Saban commercial. It's showers are only 5 minutes. This isn't a spa.
What time does it? Right, exactly. What time does it close? Oh my!
That would be great coming down here.
Yeah,
as well. Bill
Right of
Sparrows
spring.
from the Boston Herald, one of my other guests, is going to be down here as well. He has a suite. He goes to a suite a couple games a year. So,
nice.
You get a media pass, right? You're not going to buy tickets, are you?
No. We just tell them we know Pete Sheppard, and the door opens.
Yeah.
So, it's
They do treat you well over there. There's a lot of great people, a lot of locals that work over there. It is, and the tickets went on sale yesterday, by the way, for Red Sox pregame stuff.
I heard. Hopefully they have
Classic. How about the Winter Classic coming to Florida?
I knew you were going to be there. You have to be there.
I'll go to the one at Ray J with the Bruins in Tampa Bay. I'm not going to see the fucking Rangers, and I'm not going. Although that would be the biggest crowd in that stadium in Marlins history. When
outside of the World Baseball
Panthers play the
Classic.
Rangers. Yeah, no, there's no baseball. Nobody goes to Marlins games. Nobody.
I know it's such a shame because that's a nice stadium. I've only driven by it, but it looks beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful. All right, so you're convinced that Elliot Wolf will not? He'll be hanging around, kind of a de facto, whatever you want to call him. That Mike Vrabel will be the next head coach. And to me, see what's going on around the rest of the NFL, and you see Shad Khan with Bulky and going to keep him on. See, and that's why I think Ben Johnson's going to end up over there, because no coach that's been a head coach is going to bow down and kiss ass to to Bulky and Shad Khan and his freaking son who's running analytics, Tony Khan. It's such a screwed up situation. Did you hear Mad Dog yesterday go off on him?
I did not hear it, but I saw the clip on social media.
You did. You saw the clip. So you listened to it?
Yes.
Okay. It is kind of funny.
It's great. It's the classic Mad Dog rant in between telling us that he's going to London to meet Timothy Chalamet, who, by the way, the
Who's
complete
Timothy
unknown.
Chalamet?
Complete unknown is awesome. He's plays Bob Dylan.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. I had to see that movie. Looks excellent. I've heard all great things about it. We just saw Wicked the other day.
All right, here's a couple you got to see. You have to see The Complete Unknown, and you have to see September 5th.
Yes.
As which Ben and I just saw the other night in Boston, a special preview, and it is about the 1972 ABC coverage of the Munich Olympics. And it takes you behind the scenes of what happened. Guy plays Rune Arledge, guy plays Jeff Mason. They used the real clips from Jim McKay when he was on the air.
I mean, who could always remember? And I remember being 5 years old, and I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And I do remember, and it still brings, they're gone. They're all gone. I mean, there's certain images in your life when you're really young that stick into your head. That's one of them. When he said that, and it's just like,
I wasn't alive, but it was. I can only imagine that.
I was 5, and my dad explained what was going. He just in ways that you can explain to a child, and that I could understand. I'm like, what does he mean? They're gone. They're all gone. I mean, it's just So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
Definitely put that on the list. And if you haven't seen Munich yet, which is an older movie, that's a good follow up to what you'll see in September 5th with your boy Eric Bana, who played the Incredible Hulk. But he's awesome in Munich, which tells you the story of what happened after the terrorists killed all the Israelis.
I'll definitely look forward to that. I just saw Conclave as well. Have you seen that?
I have not. That's on my list.
Yeah, I won't tell you the end. It's very, very interesting.
It's
but it's very well
Stanley
done.
Tucci.
Yeah, Stanley Tucci's great in it. I mean, it's very, very well done. Hope you're up on your Italian because they speak a lot of Italian, even though I'm sure they'll have it on closed caption. But
I'll be texting you for
I'll translate
on my translations. Yes,
you kind of figure out a lot of it, but I mean, I'm sure there'll be closed caption. The version I had from my buddy did not have closed caption, but luckily I was able enough to understand it, most of it. So, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, Conclave's great stuff. I still haven't seen Mufasa. I do want to see that.
Mufasa,
the prequel to The Lion King. How they became Scar and Step Brothers and all that. But definitely, I want to
you Mufasa.
Mufasa means lion or big cat in.
Well, let's see. There you go, big cat.
Yeah. Well,
you're the original big cat, not the guy on Barstool.
No, please. Boy, Portnoy's going at Whitlock about the stuff with the stuff from the media that goes on. I always say, and one thing that your show back in the day, you with Dennis and Callahan and us with the Big Show, we would never shy away if one of our own, meaning the media person, got in trouble with some or allegations. We would talk about it. I mean, people at ESPN and FS1 and others, they are pooping their pants right now. They don't know what's going on.
No, I think it's fascinating from a drama standpoint. It's awful what this woman went through with FS1. If it all is, allegedly,
Skip Bayless.
If it's all true, allegedly, and I'm doing a sports media podcast now with Andrew Marchand, so he's trying to be a trailblazer on this too with his reporting, and it's just sordid. It's just the fact that this still goes on. It's like something on a 1960. And the fact that if he allegedly offered her $1.5 million to sleep with him, how hard up do you have to be, Pete?
It's unbelievable. And I hate Skip Bayless. He's one of the few media people that I can absolutely say I hate. I don't wish any ill will on him or anything like that, but I hate everything that he does. He's never right about anything. He's a fucking jackass with a capital FJA. He is. And I don't know how people like him continue to make the money that they do and be on shows that they are. It is so pathetic.
Well, he's not on anymore.
But not lately. Not. Well,
no,
yeah.
I don't think you'll see him. I don't think you'll see him much more, if at all. Yeah. So they're all. It sounds like just. I mean, ESPN clearly had issues back in the day too, but it sounds like this is just like a frat house run amok.
Yep. Trevor over at WQAM says, Trevor Harris says, "What up, Pete? What up, Trevor? Hey, stand by. I'm probably going to have you on the show tomorrow if you can. I will get back to you, my man. He does a great job. He produces all the games for the U and the Dolphins and does the post-game show with them as a host. And
nice. I talked to Joe Zagacki the other day.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I had Joe on a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So how was Joe? He's got to deal with the Miami Hurricane basketball team, which is an absolute. Oh, you saw him at the game. You talked to him at the game.
Saw him at the game. Yeah, no, he looked like he was a little tired. Yeah, he was a little tired, and he obviously was really close with Coach L. So
yeah,
that hit him hard. And a rebuilding year.
They got walloped again last night by Florida State too.
Yeah, I'm doing the BC Florida State game in a couple of weeks at BC, so that will be.
What you got coming up on the ACC network? Is that
I don't have. The problem is that a lot of the BC games, which I do on ESPN, are all they're getting jumped now by the CW, which happened in football too. So the CW's got the BC Syracuse game on Saturday, and then I'm doing a women's game, Pete.
Nice.
These are women's scores, Doug.
Yes, these are
one of the great Ted Sarandis clips from all time.
Trevor says, I was producing that game last night. Woof, meaning the Hurricanes. All right, Meter. What else you got going on? I know you look distracted. I don't know if it's your cat.
Yeah, my cat was my cat's wreaking havoc again.
All right, we'll let you go, and let's talk soon. We'll talk next week. We got a lot to discuss. Hopefully, with the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel. And whatever. So let's talk next week. Meter, all the best. So
thank you, Pete.
You're still professing this week. It's 18 degrees.
Next week. Next week.
At Boston College.
It all starts next week with the first class of the spring semester, which is like, you come in, you smoke your pipe, you put it down, and you say,
what does your syllabus look like? What does your syllabus look like?
The syllabus is in thin air, Pete. It's like syllabus is a developing situation. Every day is a different syllabi.
Sound like the Jets. Just make it up as you go along. Hey, kids, what do you want to talk about today?
I'm going to play cards with Gerard Mayo, and then we're going to figure out the syllabus.
What's the craziest questions one of your kids ever asked you about being in the business? Can you share? As a those of you don't know, John's a professor at Boston College as well, teaches some sort of media stuff. And
some sort of media stuff? It would be sports and news broadcasting, but thanks for playing.
Sports and news broadcasting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
What's the craziest thing one of your students ever asked you?
I don't think it's funny. I don't get that many crazy questions. It's more about finances of the business. How much money do you expect? How much money can you make? When I tell them I made $24,500 in my first job in Charlotte, and they all look at me like their heads are going to explode.
$24,500. My first job at WKFD at 500 Watt, Wickford, Rhode Island, was $4 an hour. That was 1987, 88. So please, $24,000. I would have loved to make $24,000 my first job.
Yeah, that was like
I'm older. I'm a little older than you, so I started earlier than you.
I guess I was ahead of the curve, but yeah, that's certain things like that where they don't quite understand the concept of what it takes to be a broadcaster.
Yeah, it's about a sacrifice.
All right, I got to go see if I can find my cats.
Go ahead.
And wish me luck.
Pussycat.
Oh, I will. Have a good week, Pete.
Meter, thanks a lot. Always a pleasure. There it is. John Meter Perrell joining us here on the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Before we get out of here, we're going to get out of here early. But Greeny speculating, believe it or not, this is the last song I'm going to play today, but speculating on Get Up a little while ago. I think this is fascinating. This is why, some people, you throw crap against the wall. I don't know. But he, where is it? He threw it out there about the Dallas Cowboys. Would they target Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian? Here's how it sounded.
But I'm speculating. Recklessly, perhaps.
Recklessly.
The way this makes sense is if Jerry Jones has someone in mind that he wants to see if he can get, and if he can't get that person, he still wants Mike McCarthy. Well, what is this? What is the big thing that happens between now and January 14th? Steve Sarkisian's season might end, and he might get the opportunity to have that conversation before the exclusive.
No
window.
way.
I want to come back to this. We see all these teams submitting requests for all these candidates. All these candidates are talking to all these teams. To the best of my knowledge, Dallas has not requested an interview with any one of these candidates. So I guess Dallas could always jump into the head coaching search next week if something doesn't get done with Mike McCarthy and find the candidate that they want. but they're already falling behind these other teams in the search for a new coach if that's the direction they go. So what are they doing? There has to be a plan here.
Right.
They're not just doing this willy-nilly and flying by the seat of their pants. So I think plan A is to get that deal done with Mike McCarthy. But if they can't, what is the plan? And I think Jerry Jones knows what that plan is.
Boy, there's some usually I agree with a lot of 99% of the Schefter says. First of all, you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and you're talking about Jerry Jones. So that is a big-time contradiction. You don't know what to believe. I don't know what kind of mind games he's playing right now with Mike McCarthy. I have no idea. But I hope Mike McCarthy stands his ground for whatever salary he wants and then goes to Chicago. That would be absolutely fabulous. All right. That's going to do it today for the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Thursday. I'm back tomorrow. More great guests. Trevor Harris, I know you're listening. He's going to be one of them if he's available. Gabe Morency is going to be another. And another one, which, who did I have booked? Travis Singleton. You're going to love his NBA knowledge. You're going to love him. More on him tomorrow. I'll give his whole resume. Young guy, really good at covering the NBA. He's fantastic. I used to talk to him before when I was back in New England on a couple of shows that I did up there. So we'll have that. So we will have Travis Singleton on tomorrow, Trevor Harris, and Gabe Morency as well with all the Pigskin Picks. Enjoy the college football playoff tonight. Penn State and the under. That is my parlay, but mostly Penn State in the game at +1. Back tomorrow at 7 a.m., everybody. See ya.